boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
You are good to go.
Trying to wrap our giant melon heads around the current state of sports.
You know, there's Beetlejuice. He's like Beefy Juice because he's very beefy, but he's got a smallish head.
Beefy Juice, Beefy Juice, Beefy Juice.
Dan Patrick.
Pat Forty, Sports Illustrated senior writer, looking good, joining us on the program. Let's say the SEC says, we're voting, we're playing. Vanderbilt says, we can't do that.
I think that the conferences will do everything they can to avoid that. But yes, could it come to that? Absolutely. And I think that then you're looking at eventually is, well, why is Vanderbilt in our conference anyway? They don't really seem to fit here.
Get out.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Made it to a Friday. It's a Traeger Meat Friday. Steaks on the grill. Little surf and turf, some lobster claws as well. Boy, I wish Fritzy and McLovin and Seton could be here. Welcome to the program. Shaquille O'Neal will join us coming up in a little bit. David Shaw, the Stanford head football coach, will stop by. And Sal Palantonio from the mothership. You'd like to get in touch with the program? You can. You can email. You can tweet. You can dial us up. Marvin takes care of those duties. 877-3DP-SHOW. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. You can watch if you'd like. The Big German and Dylan and Tyler the moderator taking care of that in the control room. By the way, happy birthday to Tyler the moderator. Yay. Takes care of Chat Row. He showed me some new T-shirts Chat Row has developed after Seton basically guilted them into coming up with something better. And hopefully we will have a T-shirt representing Chat Row coming up next week. If you use primetime games as a barometer, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the team to watch in 2020. Scheduled to play in primetime 5 times. That's the most you can be scheduled to play is 5 games. That's what happens when you sign Tom Brady. Now, the Patriots also have 5 primetime games this year. I'm really curious as to why. What are you tuning in to see if you're tuning in to the New England Patriots this year? Jarrett Stidham, Brian Hoyer, and even though they're not in the same conference, the Bucs and Patriots will be intertwined all season long because their success will be viewed as a referendum on Brady and the Patriots, Belichick and the Patriots. How well do they do without one another? Both teams have tough road games ahead. And based off last season, Patriots have the toughest strength of schedule in the league. Brady plays in a tougher division. He's going to be seeing the Saints a couple of times. Falcons, I think, will be better than advertised. You never know how things are going to play out. Both the Bucs and Patriots might need some time to get their acts together. They don't get that time. Certainly with Tom Brady, Tampa Bay right out of the gate against the New Orleans Saints. But the networks are all in on Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Buccaneers have had 4 primetime games. That's either Sunday or Monday in the last 5 years combined. This year alone, they have 5 such games. If they could have done more, they would have done more with Brady. Also, Tom Brady has been favored in 74 consecutive regular season starts. That's the longest streak by any starting quarterback since 1966. Brady and Tampa Bay open the season as 6.5-point underdogs on the road against the New Orleans Saints. Let the drama begin. This program brought to you by LegalZoom. Need to make it legal? Make it LegalZoom.com. They made it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today with the right estate plan at LegalZoom.com. Look, I told you something. I was told something. Thought it might happen. And right now, it didn't happen. The contingency schedule. Do I think there's still a 12-game schedule that the NFL was developing? Yes, I do. Is there a 14-game? Yes, I do. Contingency plans. Because I told you yesterday that I thought, let's keep an eye on those first 4 games for each team. Are there going to be contingency plans if you can't play? Are there going to be contingency plans if you can't play in your own state? Like San Francisco with California, with the Chargers, with the Rams. Are they going to be allowed to play football home games? Didn't happen. Now, they can flip this. The first 4 weeks, from what I was told this morning, is the same person who told me about it said, hey, what you said was true. The commissioner is not doing what ifs. He told all of the teams, do not talk about hypotheticals. If they did that last night, that's a hypothetical. I said, okay. It would have been nice if you told me that the day before. And he said, sorry about that. It's a hypothetical. You can take these 4 games because you do have some really important games. I mean, the Chiefs against the Texans is an important game. Buccaneers-Saints, an important game. Cowboys-Rams, an important game. You can flip those to the back end of the schedule. And you could start at week 5 at week 1, if you know what I mean. And then these 4 weeks would be on the back end, and your Super Bowl can be delayed. They can take that into March if they want to, I was told. If it's late February, they can do it. They're planning on it. If that's the case, all you want to make sure is you can still secure hotel rooms and the stadium in Tampa Bay. What I was told, yes, that is the contingency plan. But the commissioner specifically told the teams prior to last night, no hypotheticals. We don't deal in hypotheticals. Everything about the NFL is full speed ahead. If you were going to single out one game this year and say that's the game, now this is the one you're going to watch, I would say go to, but I don't know if that's going to be possible. But the one game where you go, that's what intrigues me. Because I wasn't sure, and now, full disclosure, I got the schedule yesterday at 3 o'clock. And I was sworn to secrecy. So I sent the Danettes a note, and I said, hey, I'd love to share a couple of scheduling tidbits with you, but if you have social media, I can't give it to you. And then I get this collective ugh. And then McLovin goes, hey, it's already out. Kansas City's playing the Texans. They open up Thursday night. I said, all right, that is correct. I said, that's all you're getting. And then I think it was around 7:30 where I said, all right, I'll give you something. The Cowboys-Rams, and I said Tom starts out 0-1, which is mean-spirited by the NFL as he's got the Saints in New Orleans. Yes, McLovin.
No, the actual schedule came out on Twitter at 7:30. You were about 2 hours with the Cowboys-Rams bombshell. I was surprised about that one, but can you explain the Texans-Chiefs? It was murder on social media last night. People were so upset about that matchup.
Well, we're going to watch. If I'm the NFL, so what? Like right now you go, God, there were so many other great games. If Patrick Mahomes is playing, you're watching. Now I get Deshaun Watson in there. Maybe you get a new and improved J.J. Watt there. All right. It's not the ideal matchup considering the other games you could have had with Patrick Mahomes, but you were starting with Patrick Mahomes. Boy, that's a great starting spot. It's not like the Ravens when they had Joe Flacco. You're going into battle and you're going, all right, we're watching the Ravens. You're going in to watch Kansas City. Got a new running back there. That same philosophy. Is there going to be a Super Bowl hangover? Not ideal, but you're saving those other games when maybe you want to make sure you get that boost, that primetime boost. You're watching that Thursday night. No matter who they're playing, you're watching that. They could have played Denver, and people would have said, oh, all right, new receivers in Denver, Drew Lock, see if he's for real. Okay, we'll watch it. I was surprised it was that. Even the Sunday night, you got the Rams against the Cowboys, which, I get that. Anytime you put the Cowboys there and you got the new stadium there, I just don't know what California is going to be like in September. That's my only curiosity with that. I'm told the stadium's almost done, and boy, they got bells and whistles. They got it all. But then, when you're a year delayed, you should have all the bells and whistles and then some. You got, the Vegas Raiders with their first home game. I think, is that with the Saints, their first home game? That's spicy. But it doesn't matter. Even the Bengals against the Browns is exciting for me on a Thursday night. Yeah, Paulie.
You know what I like, of course? I think it's week 13.
Wait. Week 13.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This is a no-brainer for you.
Now, you know me and what I like.
Bears.
Not Bears.
Okay. Wait a minute. Give me a hint.
Rookie quarterbacks.
So Joe Burrow.
Yes.
Against the Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa.
Bengals at Tua. Tua will be taking over the reins somewhere around.
That's the game you're circling.
Yeah.
I like that.
Around foliage time,
I love
Tua
that.
takes over. Bengals at Dolphins week 13.
You got Chiefs against the Ravens. You got, Buccaneers against, you got, all right. McLovin, the game that you are circling.
Well, it's got to be the Chiefs Bucs, which I'm looking now is on week, it's Sunday, November 29th at 4:25 on CBS. So CBS somehow, how'd that happen? Also, ESPN got the Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson game for Monday night.
Yeah.
That's a shock.
Yep. Now, I think that's going to be simulcast on ABC.
What? Really? That's so cool.
You should check that. But I think that's what ESPN's trying to do, or that was how they presented we want to use ABC. Can we get a better schedule? Because for so long, and then you have the Monday night team is in a state of flux as well. We don't even know who's going to be the broadcasters right now. I don't know if it's Joe Tessitore and Booger McFarland again, but it certainly is the open secret that it's open season on them looking for another team in there. Maybe they stay in-house. But I think that game might be simulcast on ABC. And maybe that was the deciding factor of giving them. That's a marquee game. That's a great game for ESPN to have. Seton, you get one game. Absolutely, positively, this is the game.
Well, it's tough. It's kind of boring, but it's tough to not say Buccaneers Saints.
Okay.
Either one of those, just because, especially, I kind of want to catch both of them because I think it's going to be different between week 1 and week 9. You might have you might see two completely different teams there.
The Saints, the Saints are looked at as an 11-win team this year, maybe 12. Buccaneers, I was surprised. There are a lot of people very, very bullish on that schedule to say they could win 11 games. Man, I'm cautiously optimistic with them. I look at the Cowboys. Cowboys got an easy schedule here. Can they clean up the Dak mess before they get into camp there, before they get started? And if not, Andy Dalton is your fallback plan there to start out the season. But you start to handicap this, and it never fails where you go, boy, they were going to have an easy schedule. And then somebody is going to get better than you think, and somebody's not going to be as good as you think. Todd, you have one game that doesn't involve the Broncos.
Oh, I was going to go Broncos-Jets Thursday night, week 4. No, I'm kidding. I got to go with Seton. It's week 1 right out of the bat. Brady, Breeze. Is this the new class of the NFC South?
No, you got to go one that's not chosen. We all...
Oh.
Yeah, got one that's not chosen.
I'm curious to see. Everyone's always down on Bill O'Brien. The Texans, they can only go so far. So, and Mahomes is going to be great. I like the opening night action, see where things stand. I know it's just one game, but if I can't pick the one that Seton picked, then I want to see what the Chiefs and Texans do.
That's a desperation poll right there.
Hundreds of games to choose from. Hundreds of games.
Of all of the games, let me take the Texans. I don't want to see the Texans, but I do want to see Patrick Mahomes, and I want to see football. I'm fine with that. We tend to look at these matchups, and I kept thinking, God, the Patriots on in prime time. And I'm looking at this as a fan. What am I tuning in to see with the Patriots? Am I tuning in to see if Jarrett Stidham is any good? Right? Who else are you tuning in to watch with the Patriots? A couple of cutaways of Belichick, great. Sony Michel, N'Keal Harry, Who am I tuning in to see? Stephon Gilmore? 5 primetime games. Yes, Todd?
I don't think it's a specific person you're trying to see. The whole aura of the Patriots. If you love the Patriots, you want to be like, watch, we're going to show everybody we're just fine without Brady. And if you hate them, you want to see this major slide starting with week 1, no Brady. And there they go, starting opening day. They crash. And
nobody cares. Nobody is going to want to watch the Patriots without Tom Brady.
I want to see what happens to the Patriots without Tom Brady, not a specific player on their roster.
I can read about it the next day. There is no interest in watching the Patriots. With the Dallas Cowboys, you either love them or you hate them, but there's reasons to tune in to watch them. The Patriots, maybe you love them or you hate them, but there's no reason to tune in to watch them. Yeah, McLovin.
Yeah, development of N'Keal Harry doesn't really.
Not yet. Not yet. Yeah, McLovin.
The Patriots were kind of boring with Tom Brady.
You can say that.
How many 8-yard passes do you have to watch? I mean, Julian Edelman is an awesome player, but he's not a highlight guy.
No, that style that they had was not quite the Kansas City Chiefs or the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, Paulie.
Dan, real quick, I want to give you my top Foliage games of 2020. You got Falcons at Green Bay, October 5th. That's pre-peak. You go Upper Peninsula. It's fantastic up there in Green Bay. Chiefs at Broncos, October 25th. That's peak foliage out there in Denver. And then San Francisco at New England, October 25th. That's post-peak. Nothing beats New England foliage.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo facing Bill Belichick. Been nice if it had been Brady. Jarrett Stidham. We're going to take a break. Shaq's going to join us coming up next. Phone calls are welcome. Settle on a poll question, play of the day, stat of the day. All of that coming up here on the Dan Patrick Show. Oh, I got my Traeger read. You know, I was speechless because I went outside to check out the Traeger this morning because we have the Traeger Meat Friday. And Alan, our chef/IT guy, was chopping up steaks. Yeah, Paulie.
The fireman, across the street, the fireman, one of the firemen walked up to me today. He's on the other side of the fence. He goes, hey, what's up with those Traeger? I swear to God, he goes, what's up with those Traeger grills? We're thinking about getting one for the firehouse. I'm like, well, yeah, we can advise you, tell you what to get. He goes, all right, cool. He goes, here's my number. And he wrote down his number and shot it through the fence, and he wants to get a Traeger. The guy's at the firehouse.
Oh, well, I'll hook him up.
I didn't say that, but I figured you would.
Yeah, I'll hook him up.
All right.
Yeah, why not? 6-in-1 versatility. You can smoke ribs, grill brats, roasted veggies, bake cookies, even drinks, cocktails on there. Traeger grills, easy to use. You can use your Wi-Fi or technology on your phone. So you have the Traeger app. You control the temperature, which is you don't even have to go outside to your grill. They thought of everything. Join the Traeger hood. Go ahead. Contact your local dealer or go to TraegerGrills.com/DP show to get yours today. Our next guest is an actor, rapper, TV host, police officer, entrepreneur, and played a little bit of basketball at some point. You may remember him from the commercial that probably ran maybe a minute ago, or perhaps he DJ'd your son's bar mitzvah. He seems to be everywhere all the time, but still manages to find time to watch the Dan Patrick Show. He claims McLovin is his favorite Danette, although we suspect he's thinking of the guy from the movie Superbad. Please welcome Shaquille O'Neal.
Hello, Dan. How are you?
Shaq, good to see you.
Right here?
Yeah, right there.
Before we get started,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you call your friend Alan up here?
Yeah. Alan? Alan's my IT guy.
Yeah, well, he's not very smart.
Okay.
Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because I came and I bumped Alan, and look what I took out his back pocket.
You took his. You
This
stole.
belong to you, Alan? Yeah.
You pickpocketed
Yeah.
my IT guy.
I sure did.
I
Yep.
saw you grab his rear
Yeah, you
end.
saw that, yeah, see? Yeah, I've been working on that lately.
Yeah. Oh, pickpocketing?
Yep, that's my new hobby. Stealing people's credit.
I like it. Where
Yep.
it sounds like a show. Travel the world and pickpocket people. Best moment of the day was what?
I'm going to go Shaquille O'Neal bumping into our IT guy and stealing his phone before he comes in. And it was planned.
Yeah, he steals Alan's phone, and he came up. He goes, "Where's Alan?" I go, "He's back there." I stole his phone. Okay, like who does that when they walk in? Like he's got to entertain himself.
He's like, I'm getting into that lately.
Yeah, stealing people's phones.
He's a police officer part-time, so what is he stealing things?
I know. Yeah, he got away with it. Do you get lines repeated too?
I get the Breaking Bad lines all the time. You know, say my name, or I am the one who knocks, or I mean, yeah, I am the danger. There's all kinds of, and then I'll get Seinfeld lines too, like nurse, a little shtickle of fluoride, things like that.
But when you read those lines from Breaking Bad, those feel like repeatable lines because they just stand out. I mean, it just floats out there that it's just on its own.
I guess so, but at the time we were doing them, it wasn't. It didn't feel like we're doing an iconic show. People can't set out to make a classic. You have to just focus on telling a good story. And if the fans say, no, that's a classic television show, then that's who determines.
But when did it become a classic? While you were filming?
I guess it was late. It was because we started in 2008, and it was probably through about 2009. I guess about 11 or 12 that it really started to catch on. But I look at it like the Hall of Fame. There's a reason that there's a waiting period, because you don't want the energy of someone's last season. Oh my gosh, absolutely Hall of Fame. You give it 5 years, and then if you still think that player was amazing, then yeah, that's how he should go in. I think that's smart.
Dan Patrick Show brought to you by Mercedes-AMG. Be prepared for whatever comes your way. The all-new GT four-door coupe, because life is a race. Visit your local dealership for a test drive today. If you missed any of our interviews from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, okay, go to the Dan Patrick Show app. Watch and listen from inside Mercedes-AMG Man Cave. Mercedes-AMG driving performance. He's Shaquille O'Neal, partnering with Frosted Flakes Mission Tiger, an effort to improve access to middle school sports that have been impacted by more than 340,000 student athletes nationwide. And Shaq joins us on the program. Good morning, Shaq. How are you?
I want to talk to McLovin.
He's always here for you, Shaq.
What's up, Shaq?
That's not McLovin, the other guy.
What's up, Shaq?
There you are. There you are.
One of these days, Shaq's going to realize that Paulie is McLovin in Shaq's mind. But that's okay. Are you a Cowboy fan?
I sure am.
Now,
a real Cowboys fan. I've been a Cowboys fan since Ed Too Tall Jones, Roger Starbuck, Emmitt Smith, of course, Michael Irvin, Neon Deion. Yes, I will always be a Cowboys fan.
And do you go to games?
No, I've never went to games. And I met Jerry Jones last year. Well, actually, I met him a couple of times, but I saw him last year, and he was like, man, you need to come to a game. And I was like, Mr. Sir, I would love to come to a game, but I don't want to bother you. So I will get to a game one day.
Well, it's good to have you on. There's a lot of things to talk about here. I don't know if you're watching the Jordan documentary. We had Patrick Ewing on and Reggie Miller, and they said this isn't any fun for us. It's fun for you guys to watch it, but is there any enjoyment watching this?
I think it just solidifies the argument about who's the best player ever. I think the fair thing to say is we should probably break it down the eras on who was the best player ever. But Michael Jordan, by far, stuff that he's done, I don't see anybody being close to that. He's a 10. There's a lot of 7s and 8s out there, but there's no 9s or 10s. And he's just. I actually got to watch. I actually got to see the end of it personally. I won a lot of money by asking people who was the last team to beat him in the playoff situation. A lot of people forget what we did in 94, 95, but their comeback is, he wasn't ready. He wore number 45. That wasn't the real Mike, but I'm enjoying it because it just brings back flashbacks and also, especially when they were battling Detroit, it just made me remember how physical the game was, and that's the game I like to play. This game I'm watching now, yeah.
How many would Mike average with today's rules? Mike at his peak, let's say Mike 1991, 92. How many points?
45.
45?
easily.
But what would you average today?
51.
And, of course, the Lakers with you and Kobe would beat Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, right?
Yes. Of course.
Shaq's Orlando Magic beat Mike's Bulls. That was they won Game 6 in Chicago, I think, that year. And then a year later, your final game with Orlando.
They came back and spanked us.
Yes. And then you went to L.A. after that. But, Mike, the Bulls ended your Magic career.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
They came back really bad. And, we beat them before. We were confident, but they put it away very quickly. They let them know that, hey, last year this was a different team, and this year it's going to be something different.
Could you imagine if there, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I think Magic Johnson was talking about on Entertainment Tonight that maybe there is a sort of a last year documentary on Kobe with the Lakers. Have you heard anything about that?
I heard it on the internet, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I was wondering, you guys didn't have any of this all access when you were with the Lakers, when you were winning, did you?
Not really all access, but with all the stuff that we had going on, there's a lot of footage out there.
I also, I don't know if you found this out or you heard this, but how close are we to having an NBA team in Las Vegas, in your opinion?
I think really close. I mentioned the other day, I know there's not a lot of teams. There's a couple of teams that are looking to relocate. I don't have the exact teams or exact name. Probably couldn't say anyway, but I know for a fact there's a couple of teams that are, there's a couple of investors out there looking to purchase teams, and they want to move teams to certain areas, and Las Vegas is one of those areas.
Yeah, I heard Memphis was one of the teams prime for that possibility. Why don't you take some of that money you make from the General and become an owner?
I am. You forgot I'm a minority owner in the Sacramento Kings?
I did forget that.
Yes.
Now, they could use you.
Use me what, as a player?
Yeah, player owner.
Done.
When's the last time you played a game?
Last night.
Against who?
Against, it was me and my youngest son against Sharif and one of his partners.
And?
I feel like I'm right now. Oh, I won. I feel really bad.
How's your son doing? How's his health?
Health is good. He's ready to go. He's going to be going to my alma mater, LSU. He's looking to, get back on track.
Are you eating Frosted Flakes right now?
How do you know that?
I know. I can hear you crunching.
Do you have a camera in my house?
I might. It sounds like you're having breakfast, right?
Yes, I am.
That's great. Tell us about the Frosted Flakes Mission Tiger here.
Listen, for years I wanted to partner with Tony Tiger because it's a cereal I grew up on. I'm the number one fan. Plus, they're starting this initiative to help give middle school kids access to sports. We're going to do a donation. We're going to help this school in Philly build a court on their school grounds, create a safe, dedicated space for guys to play and train. And we're going to give their teams all new uniforms and training equipment. And we're going to cover the facility costs to avoid canceled practices at times of games. So kudos to Frosted Flakes for starting this initiative. And I'd like to thank them, for having me. I've been a Frosted Flakes guy all my life.
Who should be madder they weren't on the Dream Team, you or Isaiah?
Isaiah, because I think he definitely should have been on that team.
But Leitner was chosen over you, right?
Yeah, but the way he was used, I wouldn't have been happy with that.
What do you mean?
I wouldn't have been happy with just sitting the bench and getting in 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah. If Ernie shows up with Charles and Kenny, 6 feet apart at your doorstep, but only 2 can come in, who are the 2 that get to come in?
Ernie and Kenny.
Not letting Charles in, huh?
No, not at all.
Hey, it's great to talk to you. Hope you're being safe. And good luck with Frosted Flakes Mission Tiger. Great to talk to you as always, Shaq.
All right, love you, McLovin.
Thank you, Shaq.
Which McLovin?
I don't know if he knows. I don't know if he cares. But every time he's been on, when we saw him in Atlanta that day and he walked in and he's like, "Where's McLovin?" And he pointed to Paulie. And I said,
He's like, my man.
yeah. And I went, that's not McLovin. No, well, it doesn't matter. I'm good. Good with that. It's always great to talk to him. Yeah, when you think about back then in 1980, was that 1995? They had a 4-game sweep where the Bulls held the Magic to under 85 points per game, and they swept Shaq. That's when Shaq ended up going to the Lakers. But then Michael, the only time he lost a playoff series during that stretch that we're talking about, that run, great run, was to Orlando, and Orlando beat Michael in Chicago in a Game 6 there. I interviewed Shaq in Santa Monica. I think it's the Marriott Hotel, when he announced that he was going to go to the Lakers. And I went out for SportsCenter to do a Sunday conversation. His father was there, and we sat down in a suite, hotel suite, and I really enjoyed his dad. His dad, Sarge, he was no BS, and he was a tough guy. Sarge was a tough guy, but I liked him, and I could tell that Shaq wanted to live up to his father's expectations for him. And Shaq was he's just a big, playful guy. And I remember saying, how many championships do you expect to win here? He didn't answer. He held up those big paws. He put up 10 fingers there. And I said, 10 titles. And then he said, yes. But that's what I remember out of that interview was he put up those hands to the screen and said he was going to win 10 titles. So good to have him on, as always. All right, McLovin, you got a poll question for me?
I do. Do you want it right now? I got a couple schedule questions.
Okay. Yeah.
Would you rather your team be 2-14 or 7-9? I know there's lots of
this upcoming season.
Yeah. Would you rather be in the Trevor mix or perpetual 500-ish?
I would
I'm
rather.
I'm looking at Paul right now, by the way.
I would rather be 2-14 this next season. Now, if I said, Paulie, your Bears can be 6-10 or 2-14, you're taking
2-14. That gives you a chance to get a great quarterback. 6-10 doesn't give you any chance to win the Super Bowl. Now, McLovin, if you said qualify for the playoffs, qualify at like a sneak in 9-7 for the Bears, or go 1-15, that might be tougher because if you qualify for the playoffs, anything can happen. You're the worst playoff qualifier.
But if you have an 8-8 season, you're the final wild card team, or 2-14, and you can have Trevor Lawrence.
That's tough. I don't think
that's a no-brainer. If I think 8-8 is going to lead to 9-7 or 10-6, then I go, okay, I'll take that. But I feel like my 8-8 could easily be 6-10 or 5-11. I'm taking Trevor Lawrence and not looking back. What else do you have, McLovin?
Oh, I was going to ask along those lines. What's the 8-8 team that is most likely to fall apart? I want to give you these. I took the Vegas win totals.
Okay.
Who's at 8 wins? The Bears, the Falcons, the Patriots. They're at 9. The Browns at 8.5. The Texans at 7.5, and the Raiders at 7.5. Are any of those teams like somebody? I was watching last night. Somebody, the wheels are going to fall off, and they're going to be bad. We never know who, but a lot of people said Atlanta on social media last night. That train's coming to an end.
I get the feeling they might be a little better than we think for some reason. I just do. The Raiders, I think. Now, here's something to keep in mind on with the Raiders. You look at their schedule. And I don't know if this has ever happened before. The Raiders play 6 road games at 1 o'clock Eastern. No team based in the Pacific time zone has played that many road games at 1 o'clock in a single season. Now bettors will tell you it's not that big a deal. It always feels like it's a bigger deal once we get to the game itself. But bettors will tell you, hey, when you go west to go to east, it's not that big a deal. That doesn't change our philosophy. All I know is you got 6 road games that start at 1 o'clock. Raiders could be one of those teams where you go, yep, that didn't work out well. Derek Carr's future. Then do you turn it over to Marcus Mariota? Pressure on, John Gruden heats up a little bit here. You're going into a new stadium, and that's great because you have the grace period of going into a new stadium. Plus, you have the Rams and Chargers going into a new stadium. It's the Rams stadium. Are the Chargers going to be better than the home team, the Rams? And that could very well be the case. Yes, Todd.
Don't the Texans concern you? How many times can you knock on the door and flirt with possibly getting further? They seem like a team, and they got rid of Hopkins. I could see that team slipping into some type of 7-9, 6-10 messy situation.
Well, I can always see that. But, here's the thing. Bill O'Brien is not a good GM. But Bill O'Brien as a coach has been I know. Bill O'Brien as a coach gets them in the playoffs. And that is the goal, get into the playoffs. As much as I can shake my head and go, I don't know what he's doing there. The Hopkins deal, if Hopkins didn't go to Arizona, I'm told he was going someplace. He was going to be traded. It's just we had a problem with what they got in return. But he was going to be traded. I don't know if they have a go-to person on that offense. I love Deshaun Watson. Hopefully he's not running for his life again, as he does every year, it feels like. But when you want to write off the Texans, because I think the Colts are better. Now, it's a tougher division. If Tennessee is who we think they are, Tennessee will be formidable. The Colts, I think, are the class of the division. And then you got Jacksonville. By the way, they gave Jacksonville an easy schedule. If this was next year and you're Trevor Lawrence and you're playing for Jacksonville and you go, hey, this is good. This schedule is not that tough. This is like playing against some SEC teams. This is okay, kind of challenging. Yeah, Paul.
If I'm Jaguars ownership, I want the toughest schedule in the league this year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, you do.
And by the way, it was tanking for Tua last year, and he was not the first round pick, by the way.
Yeah.
It can't be tanking for Trevor this year. That even though the alliteration is easy.
Well, we in the media are lazy, Paul.
Right. What's the word that would go with Lawrence?
Losing
For Lawrence.
Yeah.
Lethargic for Lawrence.
Yes, McLovin.
Can I make a quick against the grain case for a team that should tank?
Okay, is this something we're going to have to spend a little time on? If that's the case, then I'll take a break. We'll do play of the day and come back with this bombshell.
Yeah, I think this is something that is tease-worthy.
All right.
I think it's tease-worthy, Dan.
Guess that tanking team. I think, well, no, I don't know if I know. I don't know how McLovin thinks. He got into an Ivy League school, and I went to Dayton.
You totally know. I can tell by your face.
After the break, we'll come back. Play of the day, got another stat of the day, and McLovin's bombshell, his tanking bombshell after this.
So, fellas, I was sitting there with my 2 daughters yesterday afternoon, and we had a little snack. We don't eat big snacks during the day, and I like to get them to eat somewhat healthy snacks before dinner, correct? So one of my favorite things in the afternoon is I eat pickles. I like pickles, all types of pickles, hot, sweet, bread and butter, big ones, small ones, whatever it may be. It's a great treat. And my young daughter, Molly, goes, Dad, are pickles good for you? And I hesitated because I'm not sure the answer. I don't think they're bad for you, but I don't know if they're good for you. Does anyone in the room know an answer to this question?
McLovin?
They're high in sodium.
Is that bad?
Yeah, if you have high blood pressure, presumably. But I don't know.
I mean, they're probably not the worst snack in the world. I mean, it's not like you gave them Sour Patch Kids.
Right. That's your snack yesterday.
That was what my snack was, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's high in calories, but unless, if you're trying to get high blood pressure, eating a lot of pickles would be the way to go.
So if you want high blood pressure, you
right. If you aspire to have something way over 120, over 80, you're just banging out those pickles.
Fritzy, what's an afternoon snack for you? I just want to put it in perspective.
An afternoon snack for me would be maybe some Cheez-Its. I'm trying to do a lot better than I was, but
no, but be honest.
But yeah, maybe some Pringles potato chips with or without a little dip, like the sour cream and onion dip. I see the apples and oranges and stuff in the bottom, and little carrot sticks in the very bottom of the refrigerator.
You don't have to mention them if you're not eating them, though.
It's at the bottom. I have carrots that I bought like a month ago that I thought, oh, this would be good, to have that with like a little cottage cheese or something like that, or a celery. And that turned out to be, oh, my daughter just baked some chocolate brownies. I should.
Dan, pickles or Cheez-Its and onion dip?
I'm a sneaky pickle guy.
Yeah.
But why are Pringles, why do we always have to say Pringles potato chips? Like, you never just say Pringles, right?
Yeah, they don't make
Why
cookies.
is it? Yeah, do they make anything else? I had some Pringles potato chips.
Yeah, they don't make car parts.
I don't,
Had a Pringles hot dog yesterday.
what
It was fantastic.
I don't know that. Maybe they do. But I always find that interesting when somebody says, "Oh yeah, I got some Pringles potato chips."
One thing about Pringles, and I don't work for the company or anything, but of all the different kinds of chips, the way they're put in that nice can, they're not broken or anything like that. You got to give that, whether you like Pringles or not, they're nice and crisp and they're full. You're not going to get like a bunch of crumbs like you're going to get when it's in a regular
This is the
bag.
most excited I've heard you on any topic ever.
It's either Broncos or Pringles potato chips. After that, I got really nothing to contribute after that.
Thanks, Todd.
Eat some pickles.
What's your favorite story from Superbad?
Oh man. Well, there's a couple. The kid who made McLovin, the kid who played McLovin, Christmas Platt.
That's how he got his nickname, because he looks like he could be his dad or a relative.
He was very sweet but very kind of like naive. He was very young. And Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill and we said something and we said, "Oh, number 5's alive." And he was like, "Wait, what's that? What?" And I go, "Short Circuit." And he goes, "What's Short Circuit?" And it was like in unison, we all just like had the same thought. And I go, "Oh, it's this documentary about this robot that comes to life." And we told him that Short Circuit was a serious documentary. And he's like, "Oh, really?" And we're like, yeah, it's about this robot that this guy made and blah, blah. And then Seth Rogen's like, "Yeah, Steve Guttenberg stopped being an actor and became a scientist." And Fisher Stevens is in it. And we just said it was a super serious movie, like a documentary. And he, for like a year, believed this.
Did you see the greatness in Jonah Hill?
Oh, yeah. All those guys. He and Michael Cera and Emma Stone was
I know.
in it. I mean, it was... I remember the first time I saw that movie was the first time I had ever seen myself on screen, and I went to an advanced screening of Superbad, and I sat in the back with Emma Stone and her mom, and we just sat there and watched the movie, and it was a college crowd, and they went nuts, and we were just looking at each other going, "Can you believe we're in a movie? Like, this is crazy."
But how weird is that? It's one thing to watch yourself on TV.
Yeah.
But when you're larger than life on a screen.
Yeah, it's very strange.
And you're with people watching you.
Yeah. Well, I just had this at the It 2 premiere where I watched it, and there's a moment in the movie where my character's in peril, and there's a guy across the aisle of me, and he went, "Uh-oh." It looks like someone's about to die.
Why do we
like,
do
why
that?
are you stoked about this?
Why do we do that in horror movies, scary movies? The crowd always gets into.
Yeah, they go, "Uh-oh." My favorite thing I ever heard was my friend told me that he went to go see The Elephant Man. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
And he said that
John Hurt.
The John Hurt.
Yeah.
He said that at the end of it was towards the end of the movie, and there was a moment where this very quiet moment where Elephant Man is talking to this young woman, and it's like she's recognizing him as a human, and it's a very sweet moment. And some guy in the theater went, "Killer Elephant Man!" Like he thought it was a monster movie, and was like, "When is this show gonna get on the road? When is Elephant Man gonna start killing people?"
Oh my God!
The play of the day.
Runner left side, got it! They're gonna play it and play it.
This is the play of the day. Check this out.
With the first pick in the 2014 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Jadeveon Clowney, defensive end, South Carolina.
On this day, 2014, Texans selected Jadeveon Clowney, first overall pick. During his time with Houston, he made 3 Pro Bowls, 2 All-Pro teams, went to Seattle, and right now looking for another team, perhaps. Matt Guzzi on the beat here. Courtesy of the NFL Network, Clowney was Houston's first overall pick in 12 years. The other two, David Carr and Mario Williams. Mario. Play of the day is brought to you by the great folks at LegalZoom. No matter what happens, you want to make sure your loved ones are taken care of. That's why LegalZoom has made it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today with the right estate plan at LegalZoom.com. See, you encourage Todd, and this is what you get. So now I'm being inundated with tanking names for Trevor Lawrence. All right, Todd, let America hear.
Win never for Trevor.
Now just continue.
They get
Don't endeavor for Trevor.
Okay.
Reverse lever for Trevor, and need L for Lawrence. Anything there you can work with.
I'm going to say don't endeavor for Trevor. I don't understand reverse lever for Trevor.
Like going backwards. We want to go backwards. We're not going forward. We got to do whatever we can to take another step backwards with our season.
Need
Reverse
L
lever.
for Lawrence. That might be your best one. As scary as that is.
Is it T-shirt worthy? Or
No. Not T-shirt worthy. All right. McLovin has his bombshell tanking against the grain. Oh, wait a minute. What?
I was really worried that this was going to stink, but after what Todd just did, I'm feeling very confident.
That's why I did it. The bad opening act took the stage, and now, McLovin, it's your turn. But first, here is McLovin's Against the Grain music. All right, McLovin.
Dan, I stayed up all night watching the interminable NFL Network and ESPN shows, and I looked at the schedules. There's one team who would be wise to tank this year.
Wise to tank?
Yes.
Do they have a quarterback that you would consider a quality quarterback?
More of a question mark.
A question mark. Fritzy, you start. I'm going to go last.
Oh, man.
Oh, you're never ready.
I'm ready.
There's 32.
I don't know. Can I go last?
No, you can't go at all. Seton O'Connor.
The Packers?
Ooh. Interesting. They can't tank for a quarterback, though, Seton. They just
that's
two.
Yeah, no, that's why you're saying they're like it's an interesting pick, like one you wouldn't think of.
Yeah.
So I tried to go with what was the most non-obvious one, which would be the Packers.
I knew this was going to go wrong. Paulie?
I think McLovin's going to pick, and I think he's right, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Ooh.
Wow.
Okay, so the Raiders, Seton had the Packers. Fritzy doesn't get to play. NFC, AFC?
AFC.
AFC. Now, Jacksonville's not a surprise team to tank.
Nope.
The New England Patriots.
You are correct,
Yeah.
Mr. Dan Patrick.
Wait, what, Seton? It's a surprise.
I've been saying that to Andrew for like 3 months.
Well, why didn't you say it now? You
Because
said
you're right. It was surprising that he took the one that I've been talking to him about for months now.
you took the Packers, who are not going to be tanking. Yes,
Well,
McLovin.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lock and step here with Seton. The Patriots, I mean, think about this. If he can lose like his first 6 games and the season gets canceled, he gets the first pick and he never has to like disrupt the Super Bowl train. I think Belichick's playing next level chess this year. Next level. Maybe not, but it does seem to work out. This is, if you ever want to tank, it's a year with no fans and possible disruption of the Super Bowl. This is the ultimate year to tank.
And maybe Belichick doesn't care about this because he made a business decision by saying that they were moving on from Brady. Brady, it's personal. If Belichick didn't win or they went 7-9 or 6-10, okay, he looks at it as a business. Brady can't go 6-10, 7-9. You know, his ego is here. His reputation, not his legacy, but his reputation for being a great quarterback. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. Legacy firmly cemented, even if he goes 6-10. But I think this is really important. This is more important to Brady than it is to Belichick. Yeah, Paul.
What do you think, though, about the Vegas Raiders for this one? They were 7-9 last year, but they were outscored by 106 points. They were not a good team. Derek Carr seems to be what he is, and that team could use a star.
It feels like they've done pretty well with Mayock in charge there. You know, I thought they were going to be a playoff team last year. It was like 7 weeks to go, and I remember coming in on that Monday, and I said, look out for the Raiders. Here they come. And then there they go. I think they've got the ingredients there. They've got a good tight end. They got a good running back. They've made some smart moves there. I just don't know if Derek Carr is going to be I didn't think he was going to be their quarterback when they got to Vegas. But he has the potential. He has shown signs of being a very good quarterback. Now you got Mariota in there. I don't know what that does to him, but it feels like it's tenuous for both of those guys. Yeah, Paulie.
Derek Carr last year was a 70% passer, which I know almost everybody is these days. 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 8 picks. He had his best quarterback rating. His numbers weren't huge, but they were good.
But who's he competing with? Because that's not good enough for fans. Doesn't it feel like he's competing against something? Is it other quarterbacks who are putting up these bigger numbers? Is he competing against Patrick Mahomes, being in the same division, same conference there?
I think he might be competing against his early self. He went to 3 Pro Bowls before he was age 25, and then he cooled off a little bit. But his second year, he threw 32 touchdowns and 13 picks. They would love that.
But he got injured.
Yeah.
And what I was told is you start to get a little bit nervous in the pocket. You know, when he suffered that injury, season-ending injury, and then they talk about the pocket getting muddied, and you start to see things, and you get a little bit happy feet. And that, I think, has been a fairly consistent knock on Derek Carr since he got injured. But he has the talent. I just don't know if he's going to ever be good enough for John Gruden. John Gruden always likes the quarterback he doesn't have. And that's a problem for Derek Carr. Yes, McLovin.
Isn't he considered like a check down Charlie? Isn't that the big criticism that I don't know if it's actually true, but they drafted Henry Ruggs. Someone's going to have to throw longer to him, you know.
Well, you can do what Brady does and throw short passes and try to, make them into long passes there.
I agree. I think it's Mahomes. Mahomes' shadow is huge for Carr.
Yes, Todd.
How confident are the Redskins in their quarterback situation? Are they all in on Haskins? Is there any way in the back of Daniel Snyder's mind it's like, ooh, Trevor Lawrence could help us get things back in our favor in the NFC East at some point?
Well, I would hope Daniel Snyder as an owner would realize that, but he's the one that wanted Dwayne Haskins. The story goes he handpicked Dwayne Haskins. That you had Jay Gruden who did not want Dwayne Haskins there. Now you got Ron Rivera there. Does Ron Rivera want Dwayne Haskins? He brought in Kyle Allen from Carolina, who could be as good as Dwayne Haskins. Now, I thought Haskins showed some signs at the end of the year, and maybe I'm one of the few people watching Redskin games at the end of the year. I just wanted to see, he had some weapons. He had some wide receivers, but I wanted to see how he looked in the pocket, how confident he was, because he was extremely confident at Ohio State. I didn't see that confidence, his rookie year, but that's understandable. Rookies fascinate me. When you look at a schedule, I'm fascinated with, if Justin Herbert gets to play, that's fascinating. Joe Burrow is going to be playing when Tua gets to play. I know what these other quarterbacks are all about. Now, Baker Mayfield, still not quite sure. Kyler Murray, do they take the next step? Here's a question that was posed to me last night. Who has more wins, the Cardinals or the Rams? Ooh, how about that one? And I went, well, I don't know. Are the Cardinals still on the uptick there, getting DeAndre Hopkins? Where are the Rams? They're Seattle's going to be really good this year, too. Seattle and San Francisco are going to battle probably down to the final weekend. They will. You don't know anybody on Seattle? Somehow they're going to be there.
10-6.
No, they'll probably be 11-5. Yeah, Paulie.
It does seem like Seattle, though, is always that 10-6, 11-5. Get in the playoffs. A lot of close games. They find a way to win.
Paulie came up with some. Oh boy,
they're just as bad as Todd's, but
well, that's not a.
Wow.
Wait, that's how you're selling it, Paulie?
Okay, they're a tick better than Todd's.
All right. Do you want me to read them or no? I don't want to be associated with it. I'm gonna let you read it.
You're the boss. You deliver them better.
Lackadaisical for Lawrence.
Okay, a little wordy.
Lethargic for Lawrence.
That I like.
Lay down for Lawrence. I'll give you lethargic. Not the other two.
I like lay down for Lawrence.
I like L is for Lawrence. Like losing is for Lawrence.
There you go. Simple.
I like that one better than need L for Lawrence. It's like L.
T-shirt.
No.
Come on.
No. Sal Paolantonio is going to join us coming up. And David Shaw, the Stanford head football coach, as well. 1 hour in the books on this Meat Friday. 2 more to go back after this. What is the Twitter handle for Mario McLovin? Could you give that again?
Yeah, it's at Mario MIR 13.
Okay, Mario, who answers phone calls for us. He used to get our breakfast, but he graduated to that. He's now answering our phone calls. He also provides us with the play of the day, and he tweeted out last night during the Pittsburgh Brawl, how would robotic umpires handle this, huh? And then all of a sudden he heard from some people, and I come in this morning. He goes, "See my tweet?" And I said, "Well, I saw it." He goes, "Yeah, I'm getting beat up." And I said, "Well, you should. They're not robotic umpires. It's an automated strike zone." And he goes, "I was just joking. I told people to lighten up." What are some of the comments that Mario's getting so far today, Seton?
Well, he's getting an unbelievable amount of breakfast orders sent his way.
I like that.
Which a lot of breakfast burritos, no potatoes, extra bacon kind of thing. Here's one from Brad Hutchins who says, "Great insight, moron. Stick to screening calls, loser."
A lot of that vein.
A lot of that also. That's another 40% of his tweets right now. Something in that vein.
And Mario had to send back, "It's a joke, dude," 40 or 50 times.
Oh, I know.
People.
You got a lot of Terminator jokes too.
Yes, McLovin.
Somebody just tweeted that they once called Mario to complain about Jerry Jones, and Mario said, "I'll call you back," and then hung up. There's a lot going on back there, Dad.
I didn't know that.
Well, there is a certain art to getting rid of people in a timely manner. Because you get a lot of phone calls that say, like, I don't know, 20% of them make air.
Yeah.
And there is sort of a, all right, we'll pass it along. Thanks for calling.
Yeah.
And then you just got to hang up. Like, you can't get into a real conversation because it's going to take you all day.
You got 2 days back there, aspiring musician, and Mario, who's back there answering phone calls.
We just got this is just mean-spirited. We just got a Phil the Show Killer greater than Mario Miranda. That is mean-spirited. Phil the Show Killer throwback.
Who does less? Phil the Show Killer.
Phil tried to do less.
Yeah, that was my former. Well, he wasn't a producer. He was just sort of.
He was the board up of the Dan Patrick Show and the voice of the production team.
Yeah.
Did Phil the Show Killer ever come in after hours and play Metallica while lifting weights?
By the way, you could stop right there. Did Phil the Show Killer ever come in after hours?
No.
Yeah, Mario will pump iron at 5 in the afternoon.
Yeah, but that doesn't help the show. I walked in here the other day, and the music is thumping. And because we have these new speakers that belong, probably in Studio 54, and it was just loud. And I walked in, Mario is doing curls, and then I walk over to my office to get something. I walk back, he's still doing curls, oblivious that I'm there. And then I walk out. The next day I said, "Man, music, it was really pumping." He goes, "Oh, you stopped by?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, there's some language in there that probably you didn't bring any of your kids." And I said, "No, I didn't. He was doing curls." Yeah, see.
But this is what you wanted.
I did want people staying after, but that doesn't mean he's doing extra work.
Well, that's true, but he is taking advantage of the things you've provided for us, which is good. It's good to see. There's a lot of people using the weights right now.
And I appreciate that. Paulie was using it yesterday. Yes, McLovin.
You have a problem now, though. You mentioned Dylan in the back room.
Yeah.
There are a lot of back room guys. I went back there to go to the bathroom. A lot of guys grumbling, when am I going to get my mention? When am I, there's a guy, I don't even know what he does back there. He looks new. He wondered if he could get on.
Everybody wants to know if we'll mention their Twitter handle here.
Yeah. Tyler, the Creator.
Oh, no.
By the way, that one you can't mention.
We don't.
No, the big German, Tyler, the Creator, the French kid, Alan, the IT guy.
Some are better kept private.
Yeah. Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
You are good to go.
Trying to wrap our giant melon heads around the current state of sports.
You know, there's Beetlejuice. He's like Beefy Juice because he's very beefy, but he's got a smallish head.
Beefy Juice, Beefy Juice, Beefy Juice.
Dan Patrick.
Pat Forty, Sports Illustrated senior writer, looking good, joining us on the program. Let's say the SEC says, we're voting, we're playing. Vanderbilt says, we can't do that.
Oh, I think that the conferences will do everything they can to avoid that. But yes, could it come to that? Absolutely. And I think that then you're looking at eventually is, well, why is Vanderbilt in our conference anyway? They don't really seem to fit here.
Get out.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Hour 2 on this Meat Friday, Traeger Meat Friday. Oh, those steaks look good on the Traeger grill. It's like fall weather. We got a fire that we're building outside. It's just Paulie and myself here with some of the backroom guys. Fritzy's at home, McLovin at home, Seaton's at home. Glad they're safe and sound. Sure that maybe I can leave some steaks for you guys, some leftovers there. I'm not sure when I'll see you guys again, but maybe we could freeze them. Maybe it'll be late in the summer when I see you. It looks pretty good though, right, Paulie?
It doesn't look that good. How about when everyone's back together here, we have a tailgate day. No matter what day it is. If it's a Monday, if it's a Wednesday.
All right.
Well, we do a full tailgate.
Full tailgate.
Whatever that means.
Well, tailgate means
lots of food and
beers, drinks, beverages.
And we'll just put on an old football game and watch it.
All right. I'm good with that. Build a fire. It feels like it's fall. Ready to go. Build a fire. Got the Traeger all fired up. You fired up as well, hopefully. Thanks for joining us. Coming up, Sal Palantonio from the Mothership will talk about the schedule. David Shaw, Stanford head football coach, set to join us in the final hour of the program. NFL went ahead with its full schedule release. Texans-Chiefs set to kick things off Thursday night, September 10th. But before you waste too many brain cells trying to analyze the schedules, just keep in mind things change from year to year. They also change from the spring to the fall. And last year at this time, we're talking about Andrew Luck and the Colts, Antonio Brown with the Raiders. This year, the risk of injury is even greater because of the offseason. The workouts have been disrupted. Then there's the coronavirus. The commissioner did not talk about hypotheticals. He warned the teams on Wednesday, do not talk about what if. It's a hypothetical. Here is the course. Stay on course. That's why nobody is critiquing the NFL schedule. We all want this schedule to come off. We want them to start on time. I know I'm Danny Downer. I just want to look at it and say, what are the possibilities here? There's contingency plans. There's contingency plans for all of these sports. That's all. I was looking at what Adam Schefter was talking about, about this schedule. And he said, the commissioner warned teams Wednesday in a memo that team presidents, executives, nobody's allowed to engage in any hypotheticals in the coming season. That they're planning on the Super Bowl being in Tampa, Florida, Sunday, February 7th. Great. Sign me up. But during a pandemic, there have to be hypotheticals. Consider this. Say the start of the season had to be pushed back 4 weeks. Again, the league's not talking about it, but this is the hypothetical. Then you push back the Super Bowl 4 weeks. All right? You would take games 1 through 4 and turn them into games, weeks 18, 19, 20, and 21. That's when you would play them. If the start of the season's pushed back 2 months, first half of the schedule simply could be moved to the back half of the schedule, assuming Super Bowl can still be pushed back for that time period. These are things that you have to consider. We don't want this to happen. We want to have football on time, college football on time. We want the NBA back. We're forward thinking. We're restless. We want good news. The NFL supplied that. That's why there was no talk of what if, because the commissioner said we're not going to do that. I understand that. My job is to look at both sides of this, to give you a fair evaluation of what I think they're thinking of. I stand by what I was told. they were looking at a 12-game schedule as a hypothetical. Now, if you can flip the first 4 games and put them on the back end of the regular season, the NFL has no problem going into the end of February, early March to have a Super Bowl. If you said the beginning of March in Tampa, and maybe you have fans by then, NFL is going to say, fine, we don't care. You know, it moves their schedule. It's a little bit trickier with the combine and the draft, but, you know, the NFL would gladly accept that. If that's the worst case scenario is we move it back a month, we move the Super Bowl back, we keep all these regular season matchups. Because I thought the first 4 weeks of the season, that's what I was interested in. Where are the games being played, and how important are those games? Are there going to be interconference, interdivision, NFC, AFC? You know, can you lose some games here? But what I was told this morning is they're looking at if they lose games up front, they move them all the way to the back of the schedule. Yeah, Paulie.
Do you think the NFL is less likely to delay their season because they're not beholden to the fans in the stands for revenue? Less beholden to the fans in the stands for revenue?
They don't have to worry about kids going to class, being on campus. You know, it's fans coming out for one game. Can you have this was another thing that somebody who deals with security, NFL security, and has been a friend for a long time. And as soon as I texted him, he said, "What did I do wrong?" And I said, "No, I just want to know, can you get into stadiums, you know, like you go to the grocery store? There's arrows that tell you which way to go. You go down this aisle, back up this aisle. You're always moving." And he said, yes, we have explored going into stadiums. How do you maneuver in the stadium and how do you exit a stadium? He said it's really difficult because once you get in, it doesn't stop there. You know, you can go into a grocery store, you keep moving, and then you go out. You go into a game, and then you keep moving, and then you sit down, and then you get up, and then trying to create an entrance and an exit is going to be challenging if we're looking at fans there. But do I think we're going to see football in the fall? Will it be on time? I hope. But if it's not, my job is to at least ask and try to find out if somebody has something interesting about that. Should the weeks 1 through 4 get moved back, the Texans and Chiefs have the toughest schedules 1 through 4. Houston's opponents, 1 through 4, winning 68% of their games last season. Kansas City's first 4 games, first 4 opponents, 64%. Now, if I move that to the tail end of the season, that's interesting, too, of how you end up. I think it's happened now 19 times in the history of the NFL, a game on Christmas. Got a game on Friday. Now, the NBA normally opens, Christmas Day is Friday. So normally the NBA owns Christmas Day. That's usually when the season unofficially begins. But the NFL, and I was curious about that. When we came in, Paulie said, how often do they have games on Christmas? And I said, I know I had to work one Christmas at NBC, but not very often. And then I looked up the information. I think it's 19 Christmases have had NFL football. And it's on a Friday as well. Nice. Plus, the NFL, they didn't talk about the Saturday games either. Because if there's not college football, does the NFL take advantage of Saturday night? That wasn't brought up. I know it's just a hypothetical. I'm just letting you in on some of the conversations that I've had. There are contingency plans. There were just no plans to talk about contingency plans last night. Yeah, Paul.
And you're right, though. The NFL has always stayed away from Friday night because of high school football. But if they believe high school football in America is less likely this fall, that's a whole new opening.
Oh, they're just going to take over the landscape there. I mean, why not? It's for 1 year. You just go in and you go crazy. You just say, all right, here we go. We're going to give you Friday. We'll give you Saturday night. You got Sunday, Monday, Thursday. McLovin, did you find out if that was the case with Ravens Chiefs on ESPN Monday night?
I did not. I didn't find out yet. I'm going to look harder.
Well, maybe ask ESPN. All right.
Yeah. I don't think that was made a big deal of. Did you see it on the show or you heard it behind the scenes?
I heard it that, they're trying to enhance the Monday night schedule, and they were trying to get a simulcast with ABC just to make sure that you got more eyeballs on it. But, ESPN spent over $1 billion a season for those Monday night games and not even get a playoff game with it. I think they're trying to I think it's a bigger push by ESPN. The next go around here, next TV deal, if you have ABC involved in this, now you can host a Super Bowl. Yeah, Paulie.
I was going to bring this up earlier, but I was watching one of those NFL live shows on ESPN the other day, and Booger McFarland was the main analyst. He was fantastic. He was funny. He was telling stories. He had time to talk. He was breaking down different teams' moves in the offseason and different strategies. And I found him really good. And it's been a while since I'd seen Booger on TV because he does games mostly now. He used to be more of a studio guy. And I know this is probably not the most original thought, but maybe that's the better role for him because I saw him in the studio the other day and he was hysterical. He was telling great stories and he had time to talk. He wasn't like doing 12 seconds on a play and then had to shut up.
There are guys who are really good in studio and really good in the booth because you have to process that information so quickly. And that's why when Collinsworth does it or Romo does it, there are analysts who do it, and that quick turnaround. That's the key. Chris Collinsworth would see something, so he'd watch the play, but he'd already know what he was going to tell you, 5 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds later. And you would go, how is he seeing that? If you know what to look for, it helps you. It's just like when Jason Witten got into the booth. He might be good in a studio role. He was not good in live action because he's a tight end, not a quarterback. You have to see the game from a quarterbacking perspective. That helps. And Chris Collinsworth, former quarterback I think he has does he still have the longest touchdown pass in SEC history? Well, it can't be any longer. I think it was 99 yards. But I think he only threw the pass about 10 yards, and somebody then took it 89 yards. But seeing the game from that perspective helps you. And Booger does tell stories. He's better when he's on Get Up with Greeny or he does a radio broadcast because he's able, you're not constricted by time. Because once that play ends, boom, here comes the replay. And what is your analysis? And can you say something that is important? It's bite-sized, and then you move on to the next play. It's really hard to do. It's just there are analysts who make it look easier than what it really is. But Booger might go into the studio if that's the case. Orlovsky and Louis Riddick, they're talking about them as two guys to go in with maybe Steve Levy. Levy is a great team player setting you up. And, Orlovsky and Louis Riddick are sharp guys, and maybe they process it quicker. But, you're right. Every time I've talked to Booger McFarland, and I went to bat for him at ESPN. I text the president of ESPN, and I said, I hope Booger gets a chance because, when there was the Booger Mobile and Jason was in the booth and it was in his contract that he was the only analyst in the Monday night booth. When they allowed Booger in the booth for a playoff game or at the end of the regular season, I said, that's the best Jason has sounded. But I think, if Booger's able to hold on to that job, it's a learning process there. But you're learning on the job with social media. And I thought that they wanted him to be Charles Barkley. That's what they asked him to be. Hey, be the football Charles Barkley. You can't ask somebody to be something or somebody that they're not. And be the Charles Barkley of football? Come on. For that, you need Charles Barkley. Yeah, Paul.
And Charles Barkley's not a game analyst. Charles Barkley's a studio analyst, which lets him breathe, lets him discuss, lets him make jokes with no time constraints. Barkley rarely does games, and when he does, he's hamstrung because he can't riff.
Yeah, Charles wouldn't be a good analyst. You have to be able to talk in just burst. Like, get it out. I'm deciphering it. I saw this. I'm bringing it to your attention. An analyst's job is to tell you something you didn't see. Because we get to watch. We get to watch, and we have play-by-play. Now, what are you going to tell me? And that's where the analyst makes his money. That's where you go. That separates a good analyst from a great analyst. What are you telling me? And it never fails. Collinsworth always tells me something where I just didn't see it or I wouldn't look for it. And Romo is very good at telling you prior to the play. Collinsworth is excellent in recapping the play. Different approaches. John Madden was so good that he did see it. He understood what he was looking for. Then he added his personality to it. And that was the first time you heard somebody who They had this this huge presence there in the booth. Now, you had Cosell and Don Meredith, and that was one of a kind and never happened again. But, when you're able to process that, it's just like a quarterback. If you are able to process that information in real time quickly, you have a chance to be a great quarterback. If you can't, you got no shot. And it's the same with being an analyst to a lesser degree. What do you see? What do you say? Get the hell out of the way. Here's the next play. I think that rhymed. Yes, Paul.
Two other guys who do it well in two different sports. Chris Webber is a really good game analyst, but he could also fill with stories. Like if there's a break in the action, he can give quick stories, and he's really funny. But Smoltz on baseball, Smoltz will go through a baseball game, and it's like he's got an instantaneous chart in his head of what should happen next and what team will do. Like if you're going to bring in the left-hander, they should go to the pen and do that. And he explains it to you so quickly. And he doesn't dumb it down, but he makes it digestible for someone who didn't pitch in the bigs.
But he's a pitcher, and he sees the game from that perspective. It's like a lot of catchers became great managers because they have to see the entire game, the entire field. It's their job to be sort of the eyes and ears for the team on the field. The pitcher, those guys never forget. Never. I could say to John Smoltz, pitch you through in the World Series against the Yankees and whatever game it was, whatever inning, he would know what it was. They had that ability. The Raiders make their Vegas debut. They open up the stadium, and it'll be Monday Night Football's 50th anniversary. It's on ESPN and ABC. Okay. I had heard it. I didn't know if anybody made a big deal about it, but they're going to be both on ESPN and ABC. I don't know how many games are going to be on ESPN, ABC, but I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with ESPN and ABC with the next round of negotiations here. We were unfortunately stumbling on you can't tank for Trevor. What would be other names? And so this audience, abhorrence for Lawrence. And then this is from Joe McCarthy. He says, ask McLovin what it means.
Means you hate your game is like abhorrent. It's so bad.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
Don't endeavor for Trevor's my front runner, by the way.
What is it?
Don't endeavor for Trevor.
Oh, that's horrible.
And abhorrence for Lawrence also sounds like you're hating Trevor Lawrence based on the definition. So it doesn't.
Yeah, but the
quite work.
L is for Lawrence. Like we're losing on purpose. It's tanking. So that L is for Lawrence. All right, maybe endeavor for Trevor is better. I don't know. Lazy for Lawrence, Mark in South Carolina. No, this is a bad idea.
Maybe we should go with Justin Fields because there's more fun names we can come up with.
Busted
Justin
Field.
Yeah, but then you have the Fields, and you get into some curse words, so we can't do that.
Hmm.
Well, F with Fields, no, that's bad.
I knew this was bad.
Don't endeavor for any more name segments.
Yeah. Ted in Tampa. Hey, Ted in Tampa. Paulie hates alliteration. Hey, Ted.
Yeah, hey, good morning, Dan. I got two things. First one is last place for Lawrence.
Okay.
And then number two is we talked last week, 6 years here in Tampa, and they still got the third worst offensive line.
I know.
You told me now it's going to get better. They have the third worst left tackle. And when they were talking to their newly drafted offensive tackle that they got in the first round of the draft, he said, I want the right side of the line. I do not want to play left tackle.
Yeah, I know. I heard that, and I went, uh-oh. I thought they had their left tackle, and Tristan Wirfs is a right tackle. Thank you, Ted, in Tampa. They have to be better than last year. I think that was what I was saying. They better be better. You know the longest game in NFL history? Dolphins, Chiefs, double overtime. Ed Podolak, I think, was one of the stars of that game. Christmas Day, 1971. Wasn't Ed Podolak like number 16?
14? Is it Iowa Hawkeye?
Yeah. Was he Iowa? Maybe?
Checking.
Iowa or Northwest. Ed Podolak. He had one of those. They have 14. Was Lenny Dawson 16? Maybe it was number 14 for Ed Podolak.
Ed Podolak was number 14 at running back, which is awesome. That's awesome.
All right, we'll take a break. Sal Palantonio will join us. We'll talk to him about some of the scheduling quirks here and what's he think about the possibility of a contingency plan with the NFL. 20 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show. You check things all the time, email, you check your Instagram, check yourself out in the mirror. Take some time to check your credit. Discover makes it quick and easy. Best of all, it's free. Discover is now offering FICO credit scores. That's a score used by 90% of top lenders, and doing so for free, even if you're not a customer. Take them up on the offer. And checking your score won't hurt your credit. You can check each month for changes there. The Discover Credit Scorecard is what it's called. Free for everyone. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply. When do you snap into character? When you get to Broadway? Or even when you were doing Breaking Bad or Malcolm in the... Whatever it is, like at what point do you all of a sudden become that character?
There's a process for every actor that you go through for your warm-up exercises. I walk to the theater. I get there early. I kind of settle into the theater. And you know how when you go to the gym, the moment you walk into the gym, your body starts reacting to it because it knows what's going to happen at that place. It's the same thing with going to the theater. My body starts knowing what I'm about to do for the next 2 hours on stage, and it kind of gets ready for it. And when you do it over and over and over again, you're conditioned. So it's almost like an athletic event in that sense that I know. We've done maybe 140 performances of Network so far on Broadway this year. And we will, when we finish, it'll be over 215 or so. But it is like that. And you put yourself through that. And an actor has to go through emotionally and physically, intellectually. And then you're hyped up, and then afterward you start coming down off the energy of that. And like a sporting event, you then realize, oh, my arm hurt. I don't know, I did something to it, or my neck is stiff, or you don't know. You know, and you go in the training room, and I go down and I ice it after a game. You know, after I'm on stage, I go to the training room and ice down.
What happens if you forget a line?
And that happens. You're on stage with someone else who knows that if you forgot a line or messed up the line, and you try to cover for each other. It's a thing that there are no retakes on stage. You have to just go through it, and that's part of the excitement, that you can make a mistake. And I'll relate it back to a sporting event, you know, on a field or a basketball court. You can and will make mistakes. And you just have to own it and figure out how to correct it. In our case, we have to do it. Is the mistake going to confuse the audience? Do we have to kind of restate something in order for them to catch up to it, or is it an acceptable pass and we could just move on? But I take umbrage with that remark, Dan, suggesting that I would make a mistake on stage.
I meant generically all of us actors. So
there you go.
It wasn't an indictment on you. I mean, I'm just saying us actors, us thespians. Take me up on the offer, 1-800-Flowers. Make sure you do it. We're getting close to crunch time here with Mother's Day. 1-800-Flowers, 1-800-Flowers.com. Order gifts, bouquets, arrangements. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com. You see the radio icon. You enter code Patrick. Mother's Day is Sunday, so order today. You can save 1-800-Flowers.com, code Patrick. And Mother's Day is Sunday, so you got to place that order today. 1-800-Flowers.com. Update the poll results there if you can, McLovin, then we'll make way for Sal Palantonio.
Would you rather be 2-14 and get Trevor Lawrence, or 10-6 and sneak in as a wild card? Wild card is actually winning about 60-40.
All right. Let's bring in Sal Palantonio, ESPN's national correspondent, NFL reporter. Good morning, Sal. How are you?
Good morning, Dan. I hope you and yours are doing well.
I think we are.
All right.
McLovin, give Sal the poll question.
Okay, would you rather be 2-14 and know that you're going to get Trevor Lawrence next season, or be 9-7 or 10-6 and sneak in with a last wild card spot?
I always like to go to the playoffs. If I'm a fan of a football team, get me into the postseason. You never know what could happen. There have been so many wild card teams that won Super Bowls, and the draft is a crapshoot. So I'm going with get me in on a wild card.
Explain to me the Patriots in primetime, Sal. I get Tom in Tampa, but the Patriots are in primetime 5 times. What are we going to be watching with the Patriots in primetime?
2 words: Bob Kraft cutaway shot in the Super Box. I mean, come on, Dan. Come on. That's what it's all about. Bill Belichick. Listen, here's what we want to know about the NFL in 2020. Can Tom Brady win without Bill Belichick? Can Bill Belichick win without Tom Brady? That's it. Period. Paragraph. End of story. That's what I'm looking for. To me, the greatest Super Bowl ever will be Belichick versus Brady at the Little Sombrero in Tampa. To me, that's the greatest possible matchup. And I'd like to see both of them succeed independent of one another. I think it's a great, great story. I really do.
Well, I get the Buccaneers because that's new. We've seen the Patriots, and outside of New England, I don't think people tune in to watch them. There's a San Antonio Spurs feel to them where you go, wonderful, a dynasty, just not, big market sports. And I think that's I'm tuning in to see Jarrett Stidham this year. I mean, I am. I don't know. Julian Edelman at the end of his career. I mean, Sony Michel, but they're in primetime 5 times. I think maybe that they have them there so people can watch to see if they lose. I don't know any other reason.
Well, I'll take the counter argument, Dan. I think people want to see whether Belichick can say to the rest of the world, you know what? I can beat them with Stidham. That's it.
But I don't have to watch them. I can read about that the next day. So, come on.
That is true. That is true.
If I said the top 5 must-see teams this year, who's number 1 on that list? Given Kansas City, the Ravens, you got Brady in Tampa?
I think it's the Buccaneers. I think it's Brady and the Buccaneers, 1 and 1A. I think people want to see if Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes can get back. It's so hard to go back. And they have all the pieces still in place. And they're healthy, knock on wood. So I think it would have to be Buccaneers and Chiefs. And then we want to see if Lamar Jackson can win a postseason game. I mean, that's important. And they had, in my view, they had the best draft in the NFL. The best. I think their first 2 picks were both first rounders. They're going to make them instantly better. And I think the Ravens are going to be tough.
You start to look at this and we feel like we've got the season already figured out in May, and there's a lot that happens. We don't know. There's always 3 or 4 teams that are better than what we think, and there are 3 or 4 teams that are worse than what we think. If I said, give me 2 teams that are going to surprise being better, 2 teams that will surprise by being worse than what we think, who would you pick?
All right, let's go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Mike Tomlin's got it figured out.
Mm-hmm.
And that team's going to be better than we think. I think Big Ben coming back from the elbow surgery, they're going to be good. They're going to make the playoffs in Pittsburgh. They have Minka Fitzpatrick, who, in my view, Defensive Player of the Year candidate without a doubt.
Okay.
So they're going to be better for sure. I think the Jets are going to be better than we think. I think the Jets are a team that could put it all together very quickly under Sam Darnold and with Adam Gase. I think they have no choice, but I think they'll be better than we think in the AFC. I think worse than we think. Wow, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with Arizona Cardinals will get worse before they will get better. I think it's going to be tough for them to get better, and I think people wanted to see them get better instantly, but I think they'll be worse. I think the Houston Texans will take a step back.
I'm trying to figure out this Cowboys situation because I loved the Cowboys last year. Loved them. The only question mark I had was coaching. Were they going to take the next step? Now you got Mike McCarthy in there, but I don't have Dak Prescott in there. We don't have off-season workouts. I just don't know if they hit the ground running. Are you bullish on the Cowboys this year?
Everything that they do, Dan, is based on intricate chemistry on their offensive line. And they're going to have a few pieces, that they're going to have to move around. And it's very difficult always in NFL training camps, especially now this year, because you're not going to be able to practice as much. We don't know how or when they're going to get on the football field in the summer. The Cowboys offensive line drives that football team. And if they don't have their act together, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I'm just curious about it because it feels like they have, I don't know if they really address their defense, but it feels like, and it's a copycat league. I don't know if we're looking at trying to copycat Kansas City or the Ravens. Do you think those are the two teams that we're trying to look at and go, we either have a track team or we have a quarterback who's able to beat you with his arm and legs?
Well, I think Dak Prescott is more like Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes than Andy Dalton. That's for sure. I think Andy Dalton is more built to do what Mike McCarthy wants as opposed to what Dak Prescott wants to do. So, we're playing option football in the National Football League. Yeah. That's why the Eagles draft Jalen Hurts. We're playing option football. The quarterback has to be able to throw on the run and run. That's the way it's working out. Patrick Mahomes II, and I like to say Patrick Mahomes II because that's his actual name, and he also happens to be twice as good as everybody else on the football field. I watched him late in the season with those 3 comeback wins. He basically won a Super Bowl for Andy Reid. You and I can agree on that. Reid didn't win the Super Bowl. Mahomes won the Super Bowl. Mahomes won it because there were instances where he was able to improvise in the second half, and the defenses he was playing were static and couldn't improvise with him. That, to me, is what it's all about in the National Football League. But the difference between Mahomes and Jackson is Mahomes right now is a much more accomplished passer. When Jackson gets there, Jackson will be as good as Mahomes. Deshaun Watson's already there. And that's, to me, is why I don't understand why you trade DeAndre Hopkins. I think you give him all the money that he needs because, to me, Watson's already there. But without Hopkins, he's going to take a step back.
Talking to Sal Paolantonio, the national correspondent for ESPN covering the NFL. What's the coolest thing in your office there?
Oh, wow. I have a great collection I like to read about history and history of music. So I have a great collection of books. I've got probably every book written about the Beatles and pretty much every book written about World War II. It's an eclectic difference. I understand. But, Belichick's got all those books about football. I've got all the books about John, Paul, George, and Ringo.
If somebody says the Beatles aren't the greatest band of all time, your response, Sal Paolantonio, would be?
Take a hike. You can't have Mrs. Paolantonio's raviolis in my house on Sunday.
Well, we had this conversation. McLovin will occasionally bring up that the Beatles are overrated. And then he knows that it makes me mad. And then it becomes this discussion that we spent about an hour a couple of days ago on the Beatles and their greatness. But McLovin, for some reason, thinks that the Beatles are overrated.
Well, in terms of orchestration and musicianship, they're much better than the Stones. They have 27 number one hits. And there's no such thing as Breakfast with the Stones.
I think the Stones are the greatest rock and roll band of all time. I just think the Beatles, like the Beatles don't even get on the list of greatest bands of all time. Like you start with maybe the Stones or Zeppelin or who. Beatles they're Muhammad Ali. They're in their own category.
Yeah.
You don't rank them. That's the tribute.
John and Paul were like Mozart and Beethoven and Rodgers and Hammerstein. I mean, that to me is where you make the comparison. I made the pitch to the Centennial Committee of the Hall of Fame, and I said, this is the reason why we put Steve Sable in with his father, Ed Sable.
Yeah.
Because Ed and Steve Sable were like Rodgers and Hammerstein, John and Paul. They're like Belichick and Brady. They made beautiful music together.
But Sal, help me understand this with what the Sables did in archival footage. Why did we get to 1982 to start keeping track of sacks?
I know.
Why? I want to know what Deacon Jones had. I want to know what some of these other, the fearsome foursome, some of these great defensive lines, great defensive players, they're not part of history because they're not up on the sack list there. And I think it's unfair to them.
It's definitely something we got to look at. No question
You're
about it.
there at NFL Films, Sal. Can't you just go in there one night and just start looking at footage there? Come on.
I do, Dan, but it's not at sacks. I look at the quarterbacks. I'm a quarterback guy.
Tell me what Joe Burrow's in for this year, in your opinion.
He's in for a hard road, because of the defenses that he's going to play, specifically in that division. The Browns have talent on defense, and they're going to be much more aggressive than they were last year because of the change in the coaching staff. The Ravens have tremendous talent on defense. And we already talked about Minka Fitzpatrick and the way that Steelers defense is constructed. So within his division, he's going to struggle really mightily.
And it's not a coincidence when you see quarterbacks go to teams, they go later in the draft, they have more success because you don't have to be the star. You can sit for a little while. This helped Mahomes. Deshaun Watson, there's a little bit of a grace period. Joe Burrow does not get a grace period here. Tua's going to get a grace period because of his hip, but it won't last long here. And you're going to teams that they were in that position for a reason. They weren't very good. If you were handicapping, though, with these quarterbacks, 3 years down the road, who has had more success among the quarterbacks drafted this year?
I think it's going to be Tua if he stays healthy. No question about it. One, we're playing option football in the NFL. He can move and he can throw on the run very, very well. Two, the AFC East is not as tough perennially as the AFC North. And I think that will be a major difference.
So it's great to talk to you, and hopefully we'll get back to whatever normalcy is. It's the new abnormal, I call it, because there's going to be nothing normal about this. But it's always great to talk to you. I hope you're doing well.
Hey, stay safe, stay healthy. Talk to you soon, Dan. Thanks for having me on the show.
That's Sal Palantonio from the Mothership. By the way, my Cowboys, 0-5 in games decided by 7 points or less. Only 17 takeaways in those 16 games. They could score points, but when you had to score, they didn't score, and they didn't take the ball away. Say what you want about the Chiefs' defense, but without Chris Jones, they're not winning the Super Bowl. Just not. Mahomes was wonderful. Wonderful. But you got to have defense. You got to have players. You got to make plays. At some point in the season, you have to make a play. You have to make a stop. And with the offense, you have to be able to score. And I'm not talking about scoring 30 points a game. These seasons come down to one stop or making one score. That's it. It truly does. Kansas City should have lost when you think about it. San Francisco's defense collapsed. And Jones knocks down 2 passes. If he doesn't do that, San Francisco is going to win the Super Bowl. It was that close. Look at those games. Look at the Super Bowls that Brady won, Patriots won. One play here, one play. It comes down to that. All of this is, just eye candy. The winner of this Super Bowl will have a moment where they have to stop somebody or they must score. And they will do it. And therefore, they'll be Super Bowl champs. It happens every year. May not be in the Super Bowl, could be in the AFC or NFC title. It happens. You can't forget about one side of the ball. And it feels like we're in a rush to go all in and beat Kansas City. And it's really hard because it starts with Mahomes. Then I got Tyreek Hill and I got Travis Kelce. It's hard to replicate those. San Francisco has their Kelce and George Kittle. They don't have a Tyreek Hill. Everybody's looking for that. What is our combination here? And that'll be the difference. You're going to try to be Kansas City? Good luck. You're going to try to be the Ravens? Good luck. Being something different might be the answer. Take a break. More phone calls coming up. Dan Patrick Show. When did you know you were famous? Like, was there a moment that you said, my life just changed?
I started feeling it one night in Chicago at the Rosemount Horizon, and that's one of my favorite buildings to work in, the favorite, because it's wood ceiling, and the acoustics are so good in there, and the Chicago crowd is so crazy. And anytime you do something, I mean, you're listening to that crowd, and if you're not listening to that crowd, you're doing it wrong, because everything you do to elicit a response. Based on that response, you respond accordingly. And, man, when you hit the gas pedal in that building and they give you that feedback, you know exactly where you're going. So it was one night we were in a tag match, and I started really feeling the energy from that crowd responding to everything I did. I said, hey, man, this is coming on. And to answer your famous question, I never even really considered that. I never thought about it.
But did you guys, women, like crazy, you guys are out there basically naked performing. You're performers, you're stars, you're worldwide. Like, they camping out at hotels waiting for you? How crazy did it get when you were single?
Well, I've been married 4 times.
That
kind of give you a heads up.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Hey, now, I've been with my wife now. It was my soulmate. I've been with her 15 years. We've been married 9. So I'm glad I found her when I found her.
But what was it like before that?
It's like, man, I heard you talking about golf. I heard you all the sports you talk about. It's everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
to answer your question,
you were never lonely.
No, and I'm a loner.
That would be because you're going into a different city. You're like a band.
Yes.
Like you guys, you're rock stars.
You are a lot of times, you might be, I don't know if you're considered famous, but you're on television, so you have exposure, right? But most time, before you make it big, I mean, you got 3, 4, or 5 guys crammed in a rental car so you can all split gas. You got 3 or 4 guys in a hotel room splitting beds. Low guy on the totem pole or the guy with the least experience is sleeping on the floor. And, so you have exposure, but you're not really famous. And then, I guess it looks glorious on TV, but the lifestyle in and of itself is kind of like, just caveman express. And it was a great life. But yeah, I think Ric Flair, I always looked at it like this way. You live 3 lives in one body. On one hand, you're a professional athlete because you train like one and you work like one in the ring. Other hand, you're a rock star because when you go someplace, if you want anything, it's there and you can have it, with respect to about anything. And on the other hand, you're like a truck driver because, these days guys are doing tour buses and stuff like that. But, you take a flight, you get your rent-a-car, and you're driving all over the United States. So it's all those things going on. And a lot of guys, met an early demise because they got caught up in it.
I'm usually a bow and arrow guy, Dan.
Oh, I know that.
But,
this is a crossbow.
Right.
This is, Cabela's sent this to the man cave. I don't know if there's a target on the bear.
Right.
Now, do you shoot this way, or do I shoot with the sight? Oh, there is a sight there.
Yeah.
And it's...
There you go. Ooh.
I don't
scared him.
I didn't even scare the bear away.
Oh, okay, I see. I got.
I'm going to aim a little higher.
Right.
Ooh.
I think the bear would be gone by now, probably.
Nah.
Unless he's just a real cozy, loving bear. Ooh. I got his foot. The paw. The hoof. Oh. That's right where you want to hit him, Dan. I hate to be in the lung. As a bow hunter, you want to hit the deer in the lung or the animal.
Oh, you do?
In the upper chest area.
How did I do there?
That would have been perfect.
That would have been good?
Yes. Yeah, you're dialed in. I think I'm using the wrong eye.
Are you using your good eye or your bad eye?
I was giving the bear a chance. Oh, you're dialed.
Yeah.
The bear we had in our backyard was about twice the size of that.
What else do you want me to master here? Cornhole, mastered.
I'm just going to wrestle it.
Basketball, I can't wrestle. You know what? Penny goes crazy with the bear. Oh, she freaks out. She's just not sure what to do. She thinks it's a real bear. And I told her it was, just to get her scared a little bit. Time now for the Discover Card Moment of the Week, and we take you back to our conversation with Brooks Koepka. I had the commissioner on a couple of weeks ago, and I said, why don't you, and I brought this up to Bubba Watson. I said, why don't you guys just carry your own bags? That way I take the caddy out of this, so even more social distancing. Like, let's see who can carry their own sticks. What do you think?
It'd be interesting. I think it'd actually be a lot of fun just to watch some of these guys attempt to carry their own bag. I don't think some of them have ever picked up their bag in their life.
Who wouldn't
it would be fun.
Who wouldn't make it 18 holes carrying their own bag?
Who wouldn't make it 18 carrying the bag? I don't know. I actually don't think Bubba would. Bubba would be complaining how heavy the bag is the entire time. I love the guy, but there's no way he makes it around 18 with that bag.
And then Bubba Watson heard about it, and then he tweeted to Brooks Koepka, and he said, you may be right. I did make it 9 holes carrying my bag today. That's our Discover Card Moment of the Week. Get a free credit score today, even if you're not a Discover customer. It includes your FICO credit score. Checking your scorecard won't hurt your credit. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply. Jason in Maryland joins us on the program. Jason, good morning. What do you have for me?
What's up, Dan? I had a sweepstakes for Trevor. I had a good nickname here. I got it. Oh, it's almost a 2-for-1. So I'm going lose them all for T-Law. Lose them all for T-Law.
No, don't repeat it like Fritzy does. That doesn't make it any better there. What else do you have there, Jace?
No, that's about it.
Oh, that's
yeah,
it. Okay. All right, that's it. I have this one. It's from Robert Watson. Underperformance for Trevor Lawrence. How about win never for Trevor? That's Randy in Tampa. Scott in Michigan joins us. Scott, what do you have for me?
I've got 6 foot, and then I'm working on it, 350.
Okay.
I've got quite possibly, I think, the best one of the bunch. And in an election year such as this, how has no one chimed in with lobby for Lawrence?
Lobby for Lawrence. Okay. Thank you, Scott. Well, you know what? The bar's not very high. Let's put it that way. The bar is not high at all. In fact, we need to go to the bar. Maybe that'll help with some of these tanking for Trevor. Let's just stay with tanking for Trevor. I mean, Paulie hates alliteration for a guy who's named Paulie Paps, but tanking for Trevor, tanking for Tua. Well, at least we didn't put gate at the end of it. I hate when, no matter what happens, it feels like you add gate to it.
You know, I'll tell you, abhorrence for Lawrence is really getting in me. Abhorrence for Lawrence works because something is abhorrent. It's awful. It's repulsive. And a team that's 1-15 would be abhorrent.
And you could also learn something in the process because you might not know what it means, and it forces you to Google it, and then you find out what it means. So in the process, it's a teaching moment. That's what we're trying to do. Yes, McLovin.
But you kind of know, like, you don't know exactly what abhorrent means, but you kind of know it's negative, right? Like,
yeah, it just sounds like when it leaves your mouth, abhorrent. It doesn't sound like that's, verbal bouquets being tossed around here. Yes, McLovin.
Well, Todd threw out "don't endeavor for Trevor," which is like a double negative, so it's confusing. Does that mean don't try and get Trevor, or do try to get Trevor?
Don't give great thought to what Todd is telling us.
Don't try to win so that you can get Trevor. Don't make any efforts on the field.
We're not being very clever for Trevor.
Honk.
Yeah, it is Friday.
Abhorrence for Lawrence means that like you have a distaste for Lawrence, that it just reads bad. It sounds great that we found a rhyme for Lawrence, but it wouldn't make sense if you just read it the way it's written.
Is yours better?
I think it's slightly better. It's not winning any prizes, but abhorrence for Lawrence sounds like we have a distaste for Trevor Lawrence.
I think L is for Lawrence. I like that one just because it's a loss is for Lawrence because we're trying to get Lawrence there. How about just tanking for Trevor? Let's just go back to that. All right, we tried. Sometimes we fail. Tampa Bay, we didn't fail. The Gronkaneers, we didn't fail. This, we failed. I don't think we're ready for a T-shirt yet with Trevor Lawrence there. Oh, but wait, Brett in Virginia joins us. Hey, Brett, what's on your mind?
Hey, DP, 6'2", 240, 7 3/4 head size. Haven't heard lacking for Lawrence.
Lacking for Lawrence. Okay, lacking for Lawrence. Thank you, Brett. Thank you. I was talking about David Carr. No, Derek Carr. Derek Carr. And McLovin said, the knock is that he's a dink and dunk guy. And you're right. His completions last season were an average of just over 5 yards downfield. Second shortest among the 32 qualifying quarterbacks. The only person who had less of an average completion downfield was Mason Rudolph. You would expect that for a young quarterback who's just trying not to make any mistakes. Derek Carr's in the position where you really have to push the envelope here. And they went out and got Ruggs. You got to throw it down the field with Ruggs. And that's one of those Al Davis draft picks. Somewhere Al Davis is saying, take the Ruggs kid out of Alabama. We're going to throw the ball deep. And I always love the Raiders. They just, they made no excuses about how they played and who they were, and they threw the ball down the field. When Daryl LaMonica, when your nickname is the Mad Bomber, what a great nickname. Although the defense probably knows how to defend you a little bit. It's like, we're not going to let Cliff Branch run past us. Freddie Biletnikoff was probably the first of many of those undersized white possession receivers. He was Julian Edelman, the original Julian Edelman. How do you know when a song is done?
Oh, wow. It's kind of like a painting. You just got to go, that's it. I've written songs for, 30, 40 years, and you have to kind of trust yourself enough. You have to go, okay, this sounds good. I do edit. I believe a lot in, you put something down and then you try to get the least words to sound the best. The best thing. And then you got to step back and go, okay, that's it. And sometimes I'll listen to something from 20 years and go, I could have done a little bit better, but you got to let it go. You got to say, that's that.
But it used to be that it would be like 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes was as long as you could go to get radio play. And I'd mentioned Queen came up with Bohemian Rhapsody, and that was 6 minutes. And they were told it's not going to get radio play. And then the video came out, and all of a sudden people went gaga.
It's so funny. A length of the song is always an issue when it was radio. Now it's not radio anymore. I don't have to worry about radio. Radio is very, very different. But Back then, I mean, you had Stairway to Heaven. That was the bathroom song. The DJ would put it on and he'd run out and go to the bathroom. I had one of my...
Well, Freebird.
Yeah,
but
exact same thing.
Inagata Davida.
Right, there you go. That's a...
That was like...
Yeah, all those songs.
You could
those
do
are
a
all the
lot of
bathroom
things
songs.
to
Yeah.
Inagata Davida.
And what...
and maybe a couple of times.
Oh, that's more than I want to know. So one of my songs that was actually really famous in Canada was my live version of "Like the Way I Do." It was about 11 minutes long, and so that caught on in some places. But you stick to about 4 minutes is about all you can really push someone.
What's your favorite cover that you've ever done?
Oh, well, it has to be "Piece of My Heart" by
Okay.
Janis Joplin. That one. I sang that on the Grammys. I got to sing that. I was bald, had a little.
But you can pull that off with your voice. Like it's weird when you had when somebody did. I'm trying to think who it was. They did "Landslide" by Stevie Nicks.
Oh yeah.
The
Dixie Chicks.
Yeah, and it's kind of tough when you get there. Billy Corgan did it too. I think covered it,
Yeah.
and it's like, man, it's dangerous to go there.
Because Stevie Nicks has that voice. Yeah, you got to really, if you're going to cover a song, you got to bring something to it.
But you can't
gotta-
imitate it, and that's
No.
usually the problem that people have is you're trying to sound like that person.
Yeah, so I started singing "Piece of My Heart" when I was playing in the bars back, in the 80s, and so I would sing it night after night, and you just kind of grow into your own version of it. And so by the time I sang it on the Grammys, I was like, oh, I can do this in my sleep. So you just rock it.
What's the song you wish you had written?
Oh, I wish I'd written "In Your Eyes" by Peter Gabriel.
I Light the Heat.
Or "Thunder Road" by Bruce Springsteen.
And you wonder but you only have so many songs in you, right?
I hope not. I hope I have a lot.
But the Stones, the Stones had so much, and then they don't have songs anymore. That's always strange. Like
I know.
don't
Well,
know.
I'm trying to still. I have a new album coming out at the beginning of the year, and you try to be relevant. But I think what happens is there's a certain energy that we have in our 20s and maybe early 30s that's all like, I want this, I want that, and people are breaking your heart, and you can afford to go through lovers and stuff. Nowadays we don't have as much energy or money, and so now what I'm writing about, of course, when you have children, when you have a steady relationship, I'm not writing, I'm the only one. But you want to write relevant things. So I think what happens is just age and time sort of changes our. It's like Springsteen. You still want to listen to him. He's not born to run anymore, but he's got something to say.
Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
You are good to go.
Trying to wrap our giant melon heads around the current state of sports.
There's Beetlejuice. He's like Beefy Juice because he's very beefy, but he's got a smallish head.
Beefy Juice, Beefy Juice, Beefy Juice.
Dan Patrick.
Pat Forty, Sports Illustrated senior writer, looking good, joining us on the program. Let's say the SEC says, we're voting, we're playing. Vanderbilt says, we can't do that.
I think that the conferences will do everything they can to avoid that. But yes, could it come to that? Absolutely. And I think that then you're looking at eventually is, well, why is Vanderbilt in our conference anyway? They don't really seem to fit here.
Get out.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Oh, we love to attach winners and losers to drafts. Also, the schedule coming out. Who's the big winner? Who's the big loser? I think winners, Brady and Breeze, that rivalry, a new rivalry there. You get the opening game for both of those and then a rematch on Sunday Night Football in Week 9. It's a lot of fun. That's one of those that you don't realize it now, but you'll look back years from now and say, I was fortunate that I was able to watch or able to cover something like that. These guys have thrown for over 1,000 touchdowns in their career. They both have 70,000 or more passing yards. Will we see this? Maybe, but we're going to be able to see this now, so take advantage of that. Brady, that impact with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you got 5 primetime games. That's the most you can have. And, the Patriots got 5 primetime games, and I'm really surprised with that. I can read about what the Patriots are going to be like, or there's problems with Jarrett Stidham. I don't have to watch the Patriots because I don't find them entertaining at all, other than what the end result is going to be with this team. If Jarrett Stidham's a star, great. If he bombs, you're going to see the networks flexing out of their Patriot games. Mike McCarthy with the Cowboys. America's team's opponents have a combined .459 winning percentage based on last year's records. Easiest schedule in the NFC. You got some games in prime time. You got a matchup with Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, which is great. The AFC North is a whole lot of fun. You got the Ravens. Ravens got an easy schedule. Maybe the easiest schedule in the AFC. Pittsburgh got an easy schedule. Browns and the Bengals also in there. Once they get outside of the division, they have a little bit easier schedule than you thought. Inside, Ravens are a sure thing. Are the Steelers? Do the Browns take that next step? And will the Bengals be dangerous? Let's see. What else was I looking at? The Jaguars got an easy schedule. I don't know if it matters. Like, if you're a Jaguar fan, you're like, oh, we got an easy schedule. That's where you want the opposite. If you're Jacksonville, you want a hard schedule. You don't want to make this, you don't want to make it harder than what it is to tank to get Trevor. The Raiders play their first game in Las Vegas in Week 2. And I was wondering if they were going to try to squeeze them in so they could unveil the Raiders. And that's when the Saints come to town. I think it's great. The Raiders have some primetime games. I think the Raiders are in primetime 4 times. I don't know if they're good enough to be in primetime, but I think Vegas and Gruden, that combination, and you bring in Ruggs in there, and maybe got some excitement there with the silver and black. Let's see plus they play 6 1:00 games this year. 6 games on the East Coast. Since 2003, the Raiders they win about 30% of the time with a 1:00 Eastern window. Now, I know there have been different coaches, different players, different quarterbacks, et cetera. But there is a pattern here. The Raiders coming from the West Coast to East Coast. And they hooked them up with 6 1:00 games this year. Is there going to be MVP fatigue? Will we have something here with Lamar Jackson? Does he take a step back? Is he good enough to take a step forward? Got another running back in J.K. Dobbins, another weapon in there. AFC East, how interesting is that going to be? People have Buffalo winning 12 games. I know I think the Jets might be a little better. Dolphins might be a little bit better. The Patriots maybe not as good, but AFC East is not exciting at all. Bill O'Brien feels like he's on the clock. Even though he gets to the playoffs, this is, hey, you got to how about we win a game in the playoffs? That's our goal this year, is to win one. The contingency plans, they weren't front and center, but after the fact of what I told you yesterday, my source said the commissioner is telling everybody there's no hypotheticals tonight. With the draft, NFL Network and ESPN, they were not talking hypotheticals. Now, Adam Schefter did because that's his job. What is the hypothetical if we don't start on time? We can move the Super Bowl back, all the things that I told you earlier in the show. But that's sort of it in a nutshell with last night, with what we had. Welcome to the program, final hour in this Meat Friday. Steaks on the grill. Man, I have so many steaks here. I just don't have enough Danettes to eat all the steak. I got 5 steaks here, but Paulie and myself. I'm not sure what to do. Yeah, Paulie.
I've been fasting for almost 3 hours, so I'm ready.
We go out during the commercial breaks, and we start a fire because it feels like the fall. You know, it's a little nip in the air, and then you just walk over to the Traeger grill and you open it up, and that's Christmas.
I got a flask in the car.
You do?
I always keep one ready. I can bust it out later.
What do you have in your flask? Because I've seen said flask when we went to Notre Dame USC.
Sure.
You had the flask on the sidelines.
Yeah, you never know when you're going to be without a beverage. You keep a flask is mandatory. I usually keep some type of friendly whiskey in the flask. That works for just about everyone. You can pass it around, freshen up a drink with it. It's good to have.
Well, I didn't know because remember, we were going to be on the sidelines for Notre Dame USC. And I said, I don't want to stand out. So what do? I couldn't find a winter coat. And I got that big red Olympics coat. And you can pick me out on the sidelines. And somebody said, hey, text me, hey, are you drinking out of a flask? And I went, oh, my God. And it was your damn flask on those sidelines, and I got that big red jacket on.
It's tough to bring beers into games, especially when you're on the sidelines. And, a flask, it slides in the back pocket. It's kind of a traditional, old school. No one's going to take it away from you.
Oh, McLovin, you can't do this to me in the final hour, but you're going to do this to me in the final hour, aren't you?
Yeah, we have a new hard-hitting Hour 3 poll. Which saying are we going to run with? Tanking for Trevor, L is for Lawrence, abhorrence for Lawrence, and don't endeavor for Trevor.
Paulie's got one more.
Remember the movie, Remember the Titans, Ronnie Sunshine Bass. Some people are throwing out Suck for Sunshine, which is not bad.
Yeah, but that might win just because Suck for Sunshine. Yeah. I guess that's the poll question. Yes, Seton O'Connor.
I just got to keep the under 9 to get sunshine. Or skip the combine for sunshine.
Todd's scoreboard challenge.
Oh, good. That'll save us.
Yeah. Speaking of something crappier than the Trevor Lawrence nicknames.
You guys are starting to lose faith and interest in the old scoreboard.
Starting to lose faith?
Not starting to.
We never had faith in it.
The
All right, let's see how this one goes.
are, this person once shopped at my grocery store.
32 and 59 are the numbers. And let's see. The clue is has a nice ring to it. And the other is tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
I'm tired from this week.
Are you really?
I am tired.
Should I give you another clue? Would that speed things up a little bit?
Can anybody get it without looking it up?
How about the way I read it might help with the clue.
Oh, no.
Has a nice ring to it is the first one. And tip of the iceberg is the second one.
Ronnie Lott had his fingertip cut off, but he was not number 59.
But he was born in 1959, so you got that right.
That is.
I was kind of kidding. Ronnie Lott was born in 1959.
I was kidding.
You got it right. That 59 is 1959 born Ronnie Lott. Birthday today.
Who would ever get tip of the iceberg? I know, but Paulie was unintentionally. He wasn't trying to get it. He was
trying
to.
About Tip O'Neill. I said.
I was going to do Tip O'Neill.
Tip O'Neill.
What would that have to do with sports?
I don't know.
He got it. Tip.
So
I'm very impressed.
Has a nice ring to it.
Right. That could be a championship ring, or it could be a place or a venue where a sport that has one.
And it's 32.
32.
Was it
Ladies and gentlemen?
Was it Super Bowl 32? And
I'm giving you a hint here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. 35 victories, 3 defeats, 31 by way of knockout.
Yes, McLovin.
In 1932, Jack Dempsey beat Gene Tunney in 8 rounds.
Is that true?
No, but who cares?
It's another birthday.
Put me out of my misery.
Sonny Liston was born in 1932.
God, I hate this.
Both birthdays. No, you love it.
I hate it.
Really?
I do.
I have a fun time putting them together, but it sounds like
Did you have a winner?
We did.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's the best part of these segments, actually, though.
We have a
is
bunch of
that
losers, I know.
Everybody hates them, but you made Todd do them. Like it was a huge controversy that Todd wasn't doing the
That's a very good
scoreboard
point.
page.
I got an attitude about how I wasn't doing the scoreboard.
We made him do it, and no one likes it.
That's a very excellent point.
Todd,
Thank you.
I just said, hey, you might put a little effort into it. And that I did.
I'll let Paulie. This would be a great opportunity for Paulie to explain how things went behind closed doors. You know, and actually, it wasn't behind closed doors. There was a lot of little comments about, hey, I've only been saying that for like 8 years. You might want to, do that live on the air or something with the scoreboard. And now I'm doing that and putting more thought into clues and everything. And
Well, no. Like it has to be somewhere between, hey, that's kind of fun, and I might know that off the top of my head, to this is, CSI.
I felt better yesterday when we were talking about husky and porky and beefy and no shoulders and all that good stuff. I like that better than getting beat up about the scoreboard.
Well, no, I just want it to be where it's fair. And
I think that's extremely fair. Because people are going to Google jersey numbers and born on this day. And it should be very quick to figure some of this stuff out.
Yes, Paul.
I should probably apologize to you guys and America, not in that order, because for 8 or 9 years, Todd would do the scoreboard with those same things, a little cutesy trick. And I would say, why don't you do that for the air, since this is a TV radio show? And every day he would ignore that. And then about 6 months ago, Dan, you said,
I know,
Todd, why don't you do this for the air? And it clicked. And now he does it every day. So like Seton said, I'm not sure which was the better state of affairs.
But do I get blamed for his mock headlines?
You should.
Do I get blamed for the sports themed names for Mother's Day or Easter or Christmas?
Still having a tough time with those Mother's Day sports names. I got to be honest. I have been thinking about that.
Chris in Ohio is the winner of Todd's scoreboard. Yes, then Pete Rose.
That's my favorite part of it, though, is the delivery.
Larry Flowers. What do you mean you don't know what I'm
Trey
talking about?
Flowers.
Yeah.
Chocolate Thunder. What?
And then Todd always slows it down to make it like, oh, if you didn't slow it down, I wouldn't get that mock name.
That's my Walmart thing that I brought to the headline, to the sports names.
Ted Childbirth.
David Shaw from Stanford is going to join us. He'll class this place up. We'll talk to him about what are the contingency plans for football. And as I've been telling you, Pac-12 is in trouble just with the schools in California, proximity of the schools in the Pac-12. Now, if everything goes off smoothly, then all right, you'll be playing football, but not in front of fans. But we'll talk to David Shaw about that. The NCAA is all over Kansas basketball. How long's this been going on with Bill Self and one of his assistant coaches or whatever it is? I don't know if the NCAA, wake me when it's over. Certainly sounds like Kansas was paying players. They benefited from a relationship with the shoe company. They're not the only school, but it feels like they've been on the clock. This is Kansas basketball. This isn't some smaller, subdivision of the ACC. I mean, this is Kansas basketball. Do I think it happened? Yeah, certainly sounds like it. But wake me up when it's over, because it doesn't seem like Kansas is too worried about it, or Bill Self's too worried about it. And I thought this was going to take down college basketball. Wasn't that last year we were taking down college basketball? Anything happen at the University of Arizona? No. Anything happen at Kansas? No. Yeah, Paul.
How funny is it that the NCAA gets their act together to ding Kansas for maybe paying players 2 weeks after it announces they're probably going to allow players to get paid in college sports? It just doesn't make sense. Why, people aren't going to be that upset about Kansas because they're going to get dinged for something that's about to be legalized.
Yeah, but you got large sums of money.
Sure, I know. I'm being a little facetious.
This isn't minimum wage here. This is $100,000. With Louisville paid a player $100,000 through a shoe company $100,000. But now, if you're going to allow him to have a shoe deal, that's that's what I want to know, because somebody's going to find the loopholes here. But Louisville paying $100,000. You want to ding them, go ahead. Kansas, you brought in some recruits through a shoe company. This is how you keep the boosters out of it. This is how you keep coaches out of it. You have an assistant coach, you have a runner, you have somebody who has a relationship with the kid, with the family, and then the shoe company says, we want to get in bed with this kid, or you're one of our schools. Adidas has their schools, Nike has their schools. It's really simple. Now, simple to know, how this works. To find out, the perpetrators here, that's different. Are you going to go after them? Do you have the manpower to go after them? But this didn't bring down college basketball. And people thought this is going to implicate some of the biggest names in the programs or in college basketball. I went, all right, let me see when it happens. It feels like the only time the NCAA rules on something is when Yahoo Sports does something, all the investigative work, and then hands it to them, or Sports Illustrated, or some of these other entities that are doing great journalistic work. Other than that, it's not like you got, hey, the NCAA is investigating. The NCAA only investigates when somebody else has done all the work, and then it sounds like, NCAA is coming in for a victory lap here. Let me get to James in Virginia. James, what do you have for me?
Good morning, brother. Thanks for taking my call. Happy Friday. Hail to the Redskins. Before I give you this gold, man, I want to take this time to say Happy Mother's Day to my mother, Rachel Edwards, man. She's 73 years old, has spent over 40 years in the medical field. And I just want to tell her Happy Mother's Day, and I love you very much. And I will come and cut the grass before Mother's Day this weekend. So let me thank you for letting me do that, too. And I'll drop this goal for you, man. I'll have to throw my name in the hat. I heard all the suggestions, and I think I might have the greatest one. And I'm going to say leaping for Lawrence. And then I'll also finish with this, falling for Fields. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Make sure you call your moms, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, James. Great to talk to you. Hail to the Redskins.
It's almost over.
James should have just reached out, maybe got his mom some flowers or something, instead of using my show to be able to say, everybody's going to call. If you want to call in and wish your mom, after I interview David Shaw, if you'd like to come on, and it's cost effective, if you can't do 1-800-FLOWERS and you'd like to come on and wish your mom a happy Mother's Day, then I'll give you that opportunity. It's the least I can do because, with the pandemic, may not be able to go and see mom. Yeah, Paulie?
This is a tricky Mother's Day. I ordered a pretty good gift, and it's not going to make it, I don't think.
The old didn't make it.
I know. Well, I had the proof that I ordered it, but I don't know if that's a good gift to give
someone.
Proof
of purchase?
Yeah, I don't want to give a card with a proof of purchase.
18 after the hour, we'll check in with the Stanford head football coach, David Shaw. He'll join us next. And your phone calls as well, 877-3DP-SHOW. Back after this on the Dan Patrick Show. Check things all the time, like your email, your Instagram, but check something important, like your credit. When's the last time you did it? You probably haven't done it in a while. Discover's going to make it quick and easy. Best of all, it's free. FICO credit scores, score used by 90% of top lenders. It's free, even if you're not a customer. Checking your score, that won't hurt your credit either. You can check each month for changes. The Discover Credit Scorecard, free for everyone. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. That's discover.com/credit scorecard. And limitations do apply. How about start your team with Shaq or Kobe?
Ooh,
we got Shaq coming up.
That's
a fair question.
Okay.
Is it, though?
Well, do you have an obvious answer?
I do.
Okay.
What year of the NBA is it?
Well, that's what I was going to ask, but Seton already has his pick there. Who do you take?
Kobayashi.
Okay. All right.
It's Shaq.
You take Shaq. Fritzy?
1995 Shaq.
Okay.
I'm going Shaq too.
Well, wait. Are we playing basketball in 1995, or you get Shaq from 1995?
No. We're playing basketball in 95.
90.
Like right now, Shaq's not going to help anybody.
Okay. Paulie, who do you take?
This is really, really tough. I'm going to take Kobe because his mentality on the team, his effect on the team.
Yeah,
around him.
I would take Kobe too. I mean, you start to look at these numbers. Let me see. Here, Kobe won 62% of his games, averaged 25, 5, and almost 5. Sort of same numbers in the postseason. Won 5 NBA championships, 2 Finals MVP, and he, I think, won 1 MVP, regular season MVP. Does that sound right? Shaq, 23-10. He won 61% of his games. 4-time NBA champ, Finals MVP 3 times. He won the MVP 1 time, and then they won titles together. But yeah, I guess I would go Kobe. Seems like Kobe could play in any era. Thomas in Florida joins us. Good morning, Thomas. What do you have for me?
Morning, Dan. Great show. Thanks for taking the call.
Sure.
Now, I really wanted to touch on the Shaq Kobe kind of who you would start your team with things, because there's a point that I don't think that's really being discussed.
All right.
Now, I would take Shaq without a doubt and surround him with 3-point shooters, and here's why. McLovin, do you still have up the stats from Shaq, the points and rebounds?
Yep.
So now, think about that, and the centers that are nowadays, they're kind of fragile. They're not true centers and tough, kind of like they were when Shaq was in the league. Now think about what he was doing against the solid centers and true centers from back then, what he could do to the centers that play nowadays. Now, you'd have to double team him, and that leaves open 3-point shooters. And I just don't see anyone being able to take care of him one-on-one.
All right. Well, thanks for the phone call, Thomas. Yes, he.
Isn't there a reason, though, that those centers have disappeared?
Yeah, because it's a 3-point shooting game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shaq's going to have to guard your guy out there, too. So that'll be a mismatch out there on the perimeter.
I mean, it's not like tall guys went away. They just moved out to 3-point land.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Kevin Durant is a 7-footer, but he's, playing like he's a shooting guard. Even Dirk, in a previous lifetime, he'd be Jack Sikma. And then he all of a sudden took it out deeper than that. But no, I would start with Kobe over Shaq. But I do think at some point somebody does have a counterattack to all the 3-point shooting, and that they do have something that's inside, that you dominate inside. But a lot of these teams will let you have 2 because they're going to get a 3. If you love great food, creating memorable meals, then there's a Traeger for you in the Traeger hood. Traeger wood-fired grills make it easy to create incredible flavor, whether you're barbecuing brisket or bacon bread. Join the community today. Contact your local dealer or head to TraegerGrills.com/DP show. Head coach of the Stanford Cardinal. He's been the coach of the year in the Pac-12 4 times, David Shaw, joining us from his home. Even though you've got a campus shot over your shoulder, Coach, I'm assuming that your home is not close to campus where that's the actual picture out your window.
Yeah, of course, because no one can actually afford to live anywhere near Stanford University. So, I've become really good at this whole Zoom thing and backgrounds, having some fun with those.
How often are you using Zoom with your players?
As for me personally, periodically, my staff a lot. What I decided to do is not have a lot of team meetings. This whole thing has been traumatic to everybody. And so I wanted the position coaches to spend most of the time with the guys. I don't want to use up a lot of their time. I want it to be very individual, very intimate. That's mainly what we're all missing is those personal connections. So I wanted to meet in as small groups as possible so those guys still have that sense of community.
I asked this question to Kirk Ferentz at Iowa yesterday. I'll ask it to you. And who's going to decide when you come back to play football? Is it up to the governor? Is it up to the president? Is it up to you? Is it up to the Pac-12 commissioner? Who would make the decision for Stanford to come back and play football?
For me, it's a cascading deal of events to where state and local governments are going to have a big say on which areas can open and when. Our president and provost at Stanford are going to have their process in place, which has been a lot of meetings about how to reintegrate people onto campus, whether it's a closed campus and stay online, or partially open and partially closed and bring some student backs with social distancing. So a lot of those things have to happen. And then when it comes to actually playing, Dr. Hainline at the NCAA, every conference has its own medical group, consortium, if you will, talking about the process of not just playing a game, but reintegrating a team back together. And the testing is at the forefront, and isolation and all those things that need to have happen as we hopefully continue to push for a vaccine. So there has to be processes in place to get people back together, but at the same time, processes to make sure if someone does contract the virus, they can quickly be found and isolated to keep it from becoming a team-wide situation.
Do you allow yourself to have contingency plans, hypotheticals? And the reason why I say this, the NFL commissioner said to all the teams, no hypotheticals. Don't talk about hypotheticals. We're going to be playing football in the fall, and that's why the schedule is going to go off as scheduled here. But it's about planning.
Yeah, I think the NFL and college football are in similar situations, but not the exact same situations. They've got a collective bargaining agreement. They got all kinds of stuff. They've got team owners, et cetera. We got college kids. So I think for us, we need to talk about all the possibilities, all the eventualities, and not to mention, we're not on the same page all the time as far as all the conferences are concerned, let alone the different levels of Division 1, 2, 3. So we have to talk a lot about contingency plans. What happens if this happens? What happens if this happens? For there to be transparency with our own players, for us, we have transparency for scheduling. What happens if one campus shuts down and the other one's not shut down? And can we still play a football game? So there are a lot of things that we have to talk about so that when the fall does come, we are able to play football and we can deal with all the things that can come up.
Yeah, and we had talked to the SEC commissioner, and I said, can you see where maybe not all schools are going to be playing football in the fall, but the SEC continues to play, let's say 12 schools want to play football. Their states allow them to play football. What if Vanderbilt decides it's not going to play, or Northwestern in the Big Ten, or Baylor in the Big 12? Like, it feels like you might have conferences that are going to play football without all their teams. Can you see that happening?
What I can see happening, because everyone that I've talked to, and I'm on multiple committees, conference committees, NCAA committees, everyone I've talked to has said that everyone wants to play football. It's just whether or not it's going to be possible. So that's what a lot of the commissioners are going to have to deal with. And I mentioned earlier, scheduling is going to be fascinating. It all depends if a lot of states stay closed and we get towards training camp, then we have to adjust the schedule so as many teams as possible can play, and then we have to play each other. So I do believe everyone has the intention of playing. I really hope and pray over the next couple of months or so that we have more available rapid diagnostic testing, which is huge, to find out very shortly if someone does have a virus, we can isolate them and keep it from spreading amongst an entire team. So I think that's everyone's intention, is to play some form. And then the biggest issue, which has come up from Bob Bowlesby at the Big 12, from many people at NCAA, we have to have those contingency plans to say, let's say something happens during the season and either one team or multiple teams or all of college football is interrupted. And we have to have a contingency plan for that as well.
He's David Shaw, Stanford head football coach, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Tell me if this is true or not. The first time you saw Christian McCaffrey in high school was not on a football field, it was on a basketball court?
The first time I actually saw him was on campus at Stanford. We were recruiting his older brother, Max, and Ed McCaffrey brought his boys by and met Max, and it was a great conversation with Max. And they brought their younger brother. And I got this steely-eyed stare and this very firm handshake from this young kid. It was one of those deals where I'll never forget. I looked at him, I shook his hand, and I started to look back at Ed, and the handshake was so firm. I looked back at him and kind of like tilted my head, like, "Oh, wow, okay, you're like this now." That's always stuck out to me. I didn't know if he was going to be a good player or not. And then as soon as I saw the film from him, I think first film we saw was a little bit of his sophomore year. I said, "You've got to be kidding me! Like this kid's a sophomore, but he's making people look silly." And then his junior film was off the charts, and then the senior film, of course. So every year the kid has played football, he's been great, and the next year he's been better.
There was no thought, like he was playing running back. If he was coming there, he's playing running back, right?
We said he was playing football because when he played defensive back, he was the best defensive back on the field. He was a punt returner.
Oh, wow.
I still say he's probably the best gunner we've ever had, and I watched him do it in one practice. And I said, "There's nobody in America that can stop this guy as a gunner, but we can't play him at gunner. He's got to have the ball in his hands."
You look at the running back position now, David. I don't know if it affects how you recruit. You know, college is different than the pros, but how we're utilizing running backs they're not as valuable now. You know, you don't want to waste a top 10 pick, it feels like, on running backs. But what do you look for in a running back, and how is it different in college than the pros?
So that's a great question, and I don't think it's that different as far as most of the teams go. I agree. You can't waste a top 10 pick on a pure running back. But if that guy gives you versatility, if that gives you what Christian McCaffrey can give you, that be able to catch the ball out of the backfield, be able to run the ball between the tackles and outside, and be a return man, a guy that can play in a lot of snaps and do a lot of different things for you, that guy is now extremely valuable because now he's your best running back. He's also one of your best receivers. He's a return man. I think what Saquon Barkley gives the Giants, that big playability where it doesn't have to be, it can be anything. You can toss sweep, an inside run, an outside run, anything can score, and you can catch the ball in the backfield. So the versatility to me is the biggest change in the last, I don't know how many years now. You're looking for that versatile guy. He's extremely dynamic. But if you've got a group of good running backs, now you've just got a good group of running backs. You still win with those guys. But if you've got a difference maker, then that's worth going to get that guy.
How often did recruits think that you were NC State as opposed to Stanford? Like before you guys, didn't you put the tree into the logo just because they thought you were NC State or Syracuse, or is that true?
Absolutely. I'm not even going to deny it. When we got here with Coach Harbaugh in 2007, I'll never forget it. I was the East Coast guy. I came out of 9 years in the NFL. I had never really been on a recruiting trip, so I got the logo on and going to places, and I walk in and a guy says, "Hey, NC State's here," and I look like, "No, this is Stanford." And I'm in New Jersey, and they're like, "Hey, is that Syracuse?" I said, "No, it's." So I started wearing the full Stanford across my chest because the logo wasn't doing it. So thankful to Nike, thankful to Bob Bowlesby at the time to really differentiate our logo so that we could actually be recognized. But as we all know, the biggest reason why we started getting recognized, we started winning.
Of course. Well, I have two kids who went to USC. We were in South Carolina visiting.
My condolences.
Yeah, I know. They couldn't get into Stanford, David. They couldn't get in there. I would have sent them there. But they were in South Carolina with a Hootie and the Blowfish concert, and they had their SC stuff on, and people said, "Oh, you went to South Carolina." And the looks on their face, and my kids were like, "South Carolina? No, we went to the USC." So they faced it as well.
Absolutely.
Good
absolutely.
stuff. Hey, it's great to talk to you. Hopefully we get some football there. And thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Hey, always great to see you, Dan.
That's David Shaw. He's the head coach at Stanford. 4-8 last year, but 3-time Pac-12 champ and 4-time Pac-12 Coach of the Year. You have Zach Ertz that's gone through there. Andrew Luck went through. Christian McCaffrey through there. So, and what I love about Stanford is they use the academic, requirements as that's a recruiting tool. Like, hey, it is tough to get in here. But McLovin, you didn't get into Stanford, right?
Actually, I never applied. It was too far from home.
Could you have gotten into Stanford?
No way.
Okay.
I didn't get. I mean, I think Stanford's right there with Harvard, as far as I understand it. It's like pretty much Harvard, Yale, and Stanford, and I didn't get into Harvard. So I probably couldn't have gotten into Stanford.
But they're down to single digits, aren't they, as far as the percentage of applicants who get in?
Yeah, it's crazy. But I was actually just telling Paulie, I'm going to humble brag here. My father-in-law is a professor at Stanford, and he lives about a half a mile from where that picture was, because the problem with Stanford is it's so expensive. They have to provide faculty housing, or they'd have no faculty. Have you ever seen the real estate out there?
I've never been to Stanford's campus. I don't think I have been.
It's heaven.
I've been to Palo Alto. I don't think I've ever been to Stanford.
And the real estate is a huge deal out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In fact, the doctor who worked on my knee originally lived in the Palo Alto area, and he had a nice spread there. I remember I thought that he's living pretty well. He's doing a lot of knees. Yes, Paul.
Do you guys remember the first college campus you walked on, either for a visit or with family, where you go, "Oh my gosh, this is something," or just you couldn't believe what you saw, or maybe even just the first one you ever walked on?
University of Cincinnati, I think.
Is that a rural school? I mean, an urban school? Is that
No, downtown Cincinnati.
right?
Yeah, but there was nothing. Miami of Ohio.
That's a beautiful school.
It is, but every building looks the same.
But it looks like what you think a college would look like in a TV show. My sister went there, and I walked on campus, and it was brick everywhere.
Yeah, red brick. That's it, red brick. I think the first time where I was on campus and I went, this is different, it was Georgia. Yeah, I was there for a football game, and I went, this is different. I'd been at Ohio State, I'd been at Notre Dame. I'd been to those campuses, but atmosphere, Georgia, yeah, it was pretty good. That was pretty good. Jim in Iowa joins us. Hi, Jim. What do you have for me today?
Hey, first time, long time, 5'10", 198. Greetings from my hospital room today, Dan.
How you feeling?
Doing all right. Hopefully get out today. I have a Fritzy-esque problem, but I should be okay.
Okay. What's on your mind?
I had to weigh in on the Trevor thing. Trevor Lawrence, I'm thinking train wreck for Trevor.
Since you're in the hospital, I'm going to say, hey, that's not bad, Jim. That's not bad.
Well, thanks for helping me get through the day, Dan. I appreciate it.
You're a little medicated there. I wish you well, Jim. I thank you. Thank you for joining us. I mean, I didn't want to be too tough on him. He's in the hospital. He's got Fritzy stuff.
You got the TR things. That's not bad.
Thank you, Todd.
If he's getting a colonoscopy or some kind of gastrointestinal issue, we got to give him some love.
No.
No? Too far?
Yeah, because we're going to take a commercial
I'm not going to
break.
get graphic on
No,
you.
you always do when you say
It's
you're
Friday
not
and you're getting ready to eat steaks. Why would I do that to you? On a Friday, you're going to eat
Friday,
lunch?
Fritzy, here we go. So you want to ruin our steaks on the Traeger because
That's why I'm not going to get any further graphic.
You're there at
about it.
home, miserable.
Having a tuna sandwich, yeah.
Yeah.
Grilled cheese.
I got it. Yes, McLovin.
We have the poll up. Do you want the results?
I don't know. Yeah, sure. I don't care anymore.
L for Lawrence is winning our Trevor Lawrence tanking saying poll. It's close. Tanking for Trevor is in second place.
Yeah. Well, we've always had tanking for Trevor. We were looking for something different. We were trying to get ahead of the curve here. Yes, Heaton.
Well, I mean, losing for Lawrence is the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Although that's not on the poll question, is it?
Oh, it's not. No, L is for Lawrence.
L is for Lawrence.
Yeah. How about we take a break? I mean, really, from each other. We should just take a break.
Even this is still too much time.
You guys are too close. You're not even here. And I'm already getting tired of you.
Terrible.
Oh, stop. I'm joking. Sort of. All right, we'll take a break. Last call for phone calls. If you're watching on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show, you can see what we created on the Traeger grill. Back after this. Did you play any high school sports?
Yes, I played basketball. I sat the bench. I was very slow, but I played guitar, and my coach liked that, so he would have me jam during the basketball practices.
Were you funny back then?
I was pretty funny, but you know when the team hated me most, Danny Boy, when it was the last 5 minutes of practice, and we would do suicides, and he'd say, "You got to finish a suicide. I don't know, was it 30 seconds or something?
Yeah.
You got to finish within 30 seconds, or the whole team runs again." And I swear to God, it was. I was so slow, and I would have guys kind of whisper to me right before, just go, "Seriously, man, pick it up." I'd be like, "No, I will. And they'd be like, no, I'm serious. Pick it up. Don't make me do it." And I would just make them run 7 to 10 extra. And finally the coach would be like, "I got to go home. Okay, so I'm sorry, guys," and like stare at me. And like, I swear to God, I was trying my hardest. I can't pivot like you guys.
What was your best high school basketball moment?
None. I mean, I think I was like a Rudy kind of guy. I would come in towards the end. People would laugh at how high my shorts were, and I would foul people a lot. And I think I would get 2 or 3 fouls within 2 minutes, and people were like, "What is with this idiot?" But if I played now, like when I go on the road and I get to play in these gyms, sometimes I'll play in like a high school coach will go, "You want to run with the guys?" I'm definitely I'm better than I used to be.
Yeah, you are. You can play. You have an odd style about you, but you make it work.
I make it work, but I am so slow. Full court is rough, man. These guys just cruise up and down the court. Danny, have you played full court recently?
No.
It's the worst. Everybody is so fast and runs up and down, and they're back on D. I every other play fake something to make me not run back down.
Did you have a fro in high school?
Of course, it was gigantic. I had a pick. I had a fro. I never looked that good. I never looked good ever. I tried my best. I had a leather jacket. The fro would lay on the high collar. My friends from growing up would ask me to get a haircut. My father would say, "You look terrible," and I'd say, "I don't think you're seeing what I'm seeing, man. I think I look fantastic."
Very careful. Andrew's going to be very upset.
Oh, I don't care about McLovin.
He's not going to be able to handle this with the surf and turf. This
is really Tyler's birthday dinner.
I think we have to give him a prize or something.
A prize?
Oh, you only told me for Tyler, the moderator?
Yeah.
He said for his 29th year on Earth, he's going to give up smoking. He promised me
That
the
is
other day.
not true. I know that's not true.
No, we talked about it the other day.
I love that we've got the juice that's all around here. Let me just try this because McLovin always wants me to test things before he eats them. Is it any good, Paul?
Yeah, real buttery.
Let me see. Oh, let me add the lobster. It's okay.
We have 3 more steaks.
I know. Let me try that lobster again, McLovin. It's starting to taste a little better.
I'm going to cut a chunk. That's fun. Put a little pressure on you about the smoke.
close up shop as we always do on Friday. Little arcade fire to all the mothers in our lives. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for doing what you do. Should have more than just one day for mothers. Happy Mother's Day. It's expensive, but there should be 2 a year, at least 2 a year. You know, just split it up every 6 months, just as that reminder of what they mean to you, what they've done for you. All the mothers. All right, I'm looking at my my favorite games, the favorite matchups, so with the schedule here. Browns and Giants is sneaky good, but we have to wait until Week 15 with Odell Beckham Jr. III facing the Giants. That's kind of nice. Buccaneers and Saints Week 1 and also Week 9. That's tasty. Chiefs, Ravens, certainly tasty with the MVPs. Colts, Steelers, interesting. Both probably playoff teams. Certainly the Colts would be. Ben Roethlisberger, could this be the last season for him? Bengals, Dolphins was Paulie's pick because that could be Tua against Joe Burrow. Patriots, Bills. Are the Bills going to be for real? Are the Patriots going to be for real? Eagles, Cowboys. The NFC East hasn't had a repeat champ since 2004. How about that? 2004, which means my Cowboys are winning the NFC East. I'm going to be right one of these days with the Cowboys. So those are just some of the fun games. You know, obviously Tampa Bay and Kansas City will be fun. Tampa Bay, Packers, fun. Yeah, Paul.
I was just looking at the schedule. The team that really is kind of off the radar, and I'm curious about the LA Rams. 9-7 last year, a disappointing year after going to the Super Bowl. They lost some players, but players they're somewhat expendable, Gurley and Matthews. They didn't add a ton. I'm just really curious to see if they regroup or cool off.
Well, Seattle's going to be good again. San Francisco is going to be really good again. And does Arizona take that next step? I mean, if you're the Rams and I can pencil you in for 9 wins, you might take 9 wins right now. Because I bet their over-under is probably 8, maybe 8.5. That'll be tough in that division. All right, here's something for you. If you get to do one thing for your wife on Mother's Day, flowers, a present, card with a note, or make dinner. You got to pick one of those. Todd, you got one.
My wife says she never wants stuff or bracelets, necklaces.
Don't
flowers.
fall for that.
Well, I did, unfortunately, but she has made it very clear on more than one occasion that she'd like me to make dinner once in a while because it's a big deal just when I put the plates and napkins.
But you haven't made dinner, so when you say once in a while, she's saying once.
I think, even if I made some kind of effort and I was boiling pasta or just something that resembled something edible, I think she'd appreciate the effort in trying to make dinner versus just going out and buying stuff.
But just Google, and it'll give you the ingredients. Have your son and daughter go out and surprise her and make a meal. If your wife says she wants that, why wouldn't you give your wife that?
Who wouldn't want to, make their wife happy? Or go to Landon Donovan's last soccer game?
You. And when a woman says she does, hey, I don't want anything, they do.
They do.
Yeah, it's not like you're gonna go. They're gonna go. Take that back. I told you. They're gonna go. Oh, you shouldn't have. All right. Yes, McLovin.
First of all, brag. I make dinner 7 nights a week for real, but my wife wants one thing: 3 hours alone. And we've been in a 2-bedroom apartment for 7 weeks, and I don't quite know how to do it. But when you have young kids and you want alone time, right? I think that's the best present in a way.
Yeah. It is true when you have, we have 4 kids, but there were times when my wife would just say, can you take them for an hour? Just take them for an hour. And it would be total chaos by the time she got back. Like there'd be diapers on the floor. Like it would be disaster. But you had to be a good soldier. And you'd be like, all right, yeah, I could do this. Yeah, this isn't a big deal. And then you realize it really is a big. I mean, there's a reason why we don't have kids. We couldn't do it. We couldn't. Seton O'Connor.
So my wife, she's good with me doing stuff on the grill, but she's like, nah, don't worry about it. Don't cook. She's like, I got it. Don't worry about it.
My wife lies to me about how good I'm cooking. She's very deceptive.
Yeah, well, and she's really good. You know, she makes really delicious food. So why do I need to hey, let me help out and cook a terrible meal for us one night a week?
No, she'll lie to me.
Right.
She'll say, because I don't want to cook. I want to be great at everything, and then I know I'm not going to be great when I cook, and so she'll go, no, it's really good. No, I'm serious. It's really good. And I go, no. You're not going to fool me. You're going to, hey, why don't you make dinner again tomorrow night? You did a really good job with, that pesto. Yes, Paulie.
Flowers are overrated. Present is kind of important. A card with a note is almost mandatory because if you get the present without the card, you haven't completed the act. You haven't completed the process. My wife said if she could take a nap on Sunday and when she wakes up, there's a glass of wine and dinner be made for her. And when it's over, she doesn't have to lift a finger. That would be fine. And that's what I'm going to do. But that's the move.
That sounds good. I think the handwritten note is really sneaky good. Because if you're writing, you don't use the card. I used to use the card and I just sign my name. And you realize that there's nothing personal about that.
And you being famous would sign best wishes, Dan Patrick.
Yes, I would. And sometimes I'd get a headshot in there that I give a picture of her.
Here, I got you my autograph.
Yeah, I got you an autograph, hon. Stop complaining. All right, I'll get you a T-shirt. All right, whatever. But yeah, you have that handwritten note. Very, very important, guys. Handwritten note.
Ears. Thank you.
Yeah, you got me a Tampa Bay T-shirt.
Oh, his name is Tom. Thank you. It's exactly what I wanted. Extra large is weird.
Oh, sorry about that. Ooh, sorry about that. Yeah, handwritten note, very, very important. That, and if you make a meal, you're good to go. You're golden. Todd, why don't you attempt that? Get your son and daughter, film it, and let's see if let's go around the room. If we think Todd will do this on Sunday, raise your hand. You think Todd will make a meal, and there are absolutely no hands going up. There is no way you'll do it.
Wow.
You didn't even raise your hand.
I didn't.
You will not do it.
I'm going to give it a shot. If that's what she wants, then I should do that. I should make an effort.
No. She said she wants that.
Who wouldn't?
She's made it very clear way before Mother's Day.
She's made it very clear. Hello?
I know.
Hello?
I don't want to point.
Why don't you get off your ass and do it, okay?
Wow.
I have no excuse.
How about a handwritten note in that creepy handwriting that you have? And
one of those rhymed poem. I'm good with that.
Why don't you cut out letters in a newspaper and put it all together there? Yeah, Seton.
I don't think Todd's going to do anything like that, but I think he's going to come in on Monday very proud of the fact that he helped clean up after dinner. That sounds
a lot more realistic.
He's like, yeah, actually, I put the dishes in the dishwasher.
Todd,
and I unloaded the dishwasher and put the plates and things.
Your wife is such a wonderful woman. You should be making her meals.
Right.
You should be making meals for her. Yeah, Paul.
Seton, I could summarize Sunday at the Fritz household in 2 words: Applebee's takeout.
Oh,
or Chinese.
Todd, what did I learn today?
You learned that David Shaw recalls getting a strong handshake from a young Christian McCaffrey on campus, blown away by his high school footage.
What we learned, brought to you by LegalZoom. They make it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today with the right estate plan, LegalZoom.com. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to be able to do this every day. And to all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. We'll talk to you on Monday. Dan and the Dan Patrick Show.